Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Mayor and Council of the Town of Berlin. It is Monday, July 13th, 2026. Please join us in a moment of silence. But before we do, I want everybody to keep in mind and in your thoughts and prayers the folks that were involved in an accident out on Route 50 and North Main Street last night. One of them was a state trooper, and then another one was a teenage boy. So just please keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers. So a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags are back. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for the regular session of June 22nd, 2026. Motion to approve. So a motion by Councilmember Horace. That's it. A second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, let the record reflect the vote unanimous with Councilmember Nichols absent. Up next is agenda item 2, and that's a presentation by our Main Street Arts and Entertainment District Advisory Board for their annual report. And we have their chair person, Ms. Cassandra Brown, as well as our Economic and Community Development Director, Ivy Wells. Cassandra, if you want to come forward. First, thank you for your service on the committee, and we look forward to the presentation this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear us okay? I know we don't have a microphone, so I'm going to talk loud, and Cassandra, I know, is definitely going to talk loud. What we wanted to put together today was an annual report on some of the things that the Main Street Arts Entertainment Advisory Board oversees and what their position is, how they help us create a work plan, how they help us decide on where grant funding is going to be. To the right of it is our rack card that we use to showcase our downtown murals and that we are an arts and entertainment district. I'm going to let Cassandra take over. As our chairperson. She's been our chairperson now for the last 3 years. She does an amazing job. She actually had a great idea today that she's going to share with you at the end of the presentation.
Yes, the Berlin Arts and Entertainment District has been recognized by the state of Maryland Arts Council as a district, art district, a national art district. We have a lot of murals around town that we have funded. There's one on Commerce Street, a couple on Main Street, the Charles Tillman mural, the one on our newest one on Main Street, and the back.
She's talking about the murals on the front.
Okay. And a lot of our businesses do have a lot of local artists' artwork for sale in their stores as well. So that's one of the things that we have to sponsor.
And so the next question is, what does our Main Street Arts and Entertainment Advisory Board, what do we do?
We do sponsor the please forgive me, I'm a little nervous, but
There's no need. We know all.
You're okay. We're just sound like you're talking
about the big stage.
yeah, I do the same thing when I'm on television. So
it always looks good when I see it.
oh, thank you. Yeah, we did sponsor the new mural on Main Street on the pool building. We sponsored the vintage vinyl and vintage.
You are on that, Kate, on that.
Oh, okay.
We can skip around. That's fine. We'll go with whatever you're feeling. I can switch around. We'll go with whatever you're feeling.
With the vinyl and vintage and vinyl. We also sponsor the pumpkin scavenger hunt that we do in October, and also the murals, like I said, that we do around town.
Right. So last year from the Maryland State Arts Council, we received an $18,000 grant. The Maryland State Arts Council is run under the umbrella of the Department of Commerce. So with our arts and entertainment designation, that's a completely separate pot of money. And then our Main Street Improvement Grant through the Department of Housing and Community Development, last year we received a $25,000 grant. And so the $25,000 grant last year was used to pay for the stages for town events, and we also sponsored the Berlin Chamber stages as well, the entertainment for the Chili Pepper Festival. We purchased some bar top tables to make it easier for our public works crews. Those picnic tables can be pretty heavy. And you can finish out.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, there we go. We also sponsor the petting zoo at the farmers market. We spent and the flowers and scenery around town. We do
We hired a professional photographer
Right.
last year
Yeah.
because we were lacking in some of our marketing materials and we needed a professional photographer. So the grant funding helped hire a local photographer, and he went around to all of our events and into some of the shops and took pictures of the parks, and just so that we can use it for our marketing efforts.
and okay next.
So that-
I did the vintage. Yes.
And so the impact across our district, what this grant funding does for us, and what some of these things that we fund, it really does help enhance downtown. I mean, just today, another accolade for us, what were we called? The town that looks like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
So, they're just not picking random towns out of nowhere. Berlin gets a lot of attention because of its historic charm. Because we stay true to our authentic, the way that our buildings look, the authenticity of it all.
And we do hear a lot of people that come and are amazed at how nice the town looks, and that's part of what our funding does. We provide a beauty, make sure that it's comfortable for people to come and visit. And
All are welcome.
yeah, they come and they stroll the streets. Some of them come and just stroll the streets because either they haven't been here or it's such a lovely town they want to come back.
I mean, you'd be surprised how many people stand in front of town hall and take a picture of the
Yeah.
America's coolest small town.
Yeah.
They love it, and you know what? It's picture worthy, and I don't know how many photo albums this town has been in, but they stand in the street and take pictures.
Being on the end where I am, I do see a lot of people taking pictures, like she said, of the City Hall and the Atlantic Hotel. I've even witnessed this week a lot of people taking pictures of the mirrors and just enjoying with the buses coming in. A lot of people just sit and enjoy the seating. I've even been to, where they're sitting and enjoying all the beauty of the town.
And the residual effect of that is we have people that come back. I visited the town last year, and now I want to move here. I just bought a house. Many people come into the Welcome Center, say that they moved here because they visited here several years ago or last year, and they want to live here. And
It's such a charming town.
Charm.
Such a charming.
And then so for next year, here's what we had a meeting last month to discuss the grant funding. And do you want to make the announcement on what we received for the Main Street Improvement Grant?
We received $34,000, I think it was, for the improvement, and we do plan to, of course, sponsor the farmers market again.
The petting farm.
The petting farm. We also are going to.
Oh, sure. So, with July 1st, the new to-go beverage law came into effect for Worcester County. The rules and regulations for that have not been determined yet. We're going to meet with the liquor board soon. Myself from the town of Berlin, representatives from Snow Hill and from Pocomoke. We'll meet with April Payne and the Worcester County Liquor Board to decide how that permit process is going to work. So we're going to invest some of our grant funding to help promote that, help our downtown restaurants, continue growing our vintage and vinyl event. Last year, it was this year, we brought in a national artist that has attracted a little bit younger generation, a little bit more diverse generation, diverse, just a variety of people came for that concert. And it's not every day that somebody could say, they saw a national artist here. It was very well received. The advisory board voted again to bring another national artist for next year. Businesses were super happy about that. And a member of our advisory board is working on that for us. We will still fund the event stages, but just for the Town of Berlin events. Continue with our Oktoberfest entertainment. The petting farm for the farmers market. We offer free children's art projects at Colorful Encounters. We pay for the materials, and any child that wants to go in and create something, it's for free for them. We believe in that wholeheartedly. Continue with the pumpkin scavenger hunt. And then we just did an email vote today on Cassandra's idea. So go ahead and tell them your idea that we're going to.
Like I said, I've seen a lot of people that come and they're looking at the murals. Just before I came, I was at the store and there was someone out looking at the mural and admiring it, the latest one that was done. So my thought to Ivy this morning, it came to me because of yesterday, why not do some type of tour showing all the murals that we have around town. Maybe a brochure. So that's what we came up with, doing a brochure, and it's a walking tour, like
self-guided
tour, like the Runaway Bride tour guide. Because we do have a lot of people that actually take those brochures, and I had one woman to say yesterday that they were coming to town, they watched the movie before they came. And I've had a lot to say, well, I'm going back home and watch that movie again, because now they know they can actually put a visual to the movie. So I was thinking about the murals, we could do the same thing. And I think with some of our grant money this year, this is what we're going to focus on doing, putting together a brochure, a guided tour for all the murals that we have.
And it was
Berlin.
And the rest of the committee, I think we're still waiting on one vote.
Yeah.
Voted unanimously yes, that we'll go ahead and proceed to do that.
So we, as you see on the screen, there's our committee members, and we are going to look to add two more members to our committee this year. Think about it.
We brought that up at the merchant meeting, requesting, because we do have a lot of residents on that committee, so I think it makes sense for a couple more business or property owners to join.
So you already have the two?
No.
All the same process.
Yeah, they have to submit. We've had, I think, 3 people put in a letter of intent that they would like to, and then Sarah with the mayor's office will go ahead and do those interviews and the interview process.
Well, Cassandra, I think you both have done a phenomenal job. If there are any questions. Ivy, are there any more murals in the works?
No. If there are, I think the Art Collective mentioned that they wanted to do something like that, but they're building these a lot of work before any mural can happen. But I think we're good on murals right now, actually. I think we're good.
We have a lot of murals.
So there are no murals in the works as of right.
A place where you
and we don't plan on pursuing that as of late.
A nice place maybe that you can talk to the group about a sculpture. I've been getting on Jimmy about this. If you look on Powelton Avenue, there's the old base to the water tower, and the water tower used to say Berlin coming down vertically. And I've always said to Jimmy that we need to find something that we can put there, and it would look really cool.
And that I do not, I do not disagree. The caveat with this grant funding is that it can only be used for initiatives within our district. So the confines of the Main Street district, confines of our Arts and Entertainment district. And our Arts and Entertainment district does include Henry Park.
Ivy, you mentioned the ice sculpture installation. So the businesses sponsor the ice sculpture, correct?
Correct. The businesses sponsor each. And then, please.
The businesses do sponsor the ice sculptures that are on the street or in front of the stores, but the arts and entertainment, they have to be set up and taken down. So that's where the funding from the art district comes from. They sponsor the setup, the tear down, and all that.
There's the pedestal and the skirt and we do the signage, but there's some labor involved in that. So we go ahead and we take care of the cost for that.
And then one vendor supplies all.
Correct.
One other thing, since it is in Maine,
Yes.
the corner of Day Street and Flower.
Mhm.
If you look right there, we could do something like welcome to the historic Flower Street neighborhood,
Mhm.
and we could do some sort of a sculpture there. It would look pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a town-owned parcel. You really can't do much with it.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, definitely.
Something cool.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. This evening, by watching the news, the announcement about the grant, the $34,000 grant
Mhm.
was announced. And I got lost in watching downtown. I got away from the announcement itself. And I was really able to see downtown in another perspective
Mhm.
up on my TV.
Mhm.
And I was really pleased with how clean and pristine
Mhm.
the downtown is. And I thought to myself, if I didn't live here, Berlin would be a place I would go visit.
Thank you. And kudos to our Public Works
Yeah.
Director,
Our entire team.
our entire team. Yes.
All right. Anything else for Cassandra or Ivy? Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah. We look forward to it. Thank you. And if ever anything needs to talk about, thank you. Thank you. Up next is a public hearing, but I'm going to turn it over to Sarah first. It's for the FY25 Maryland Community Development Block Grant CDBG program, and it's arts funded funds. Go ahead. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Okay, come on in. Just be careful. Grab a chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah, go ahead and kick us off, and then I'll open up the public hearing when you're ready.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Maryland Community Development Block Grant Program is a federally funded program designed to assist governments with activities directed towards neighborhood and housing revitalization, economic development, and improved community facilities and services. It is administered by the Department of Housing and Community Development. The Maryland CDBG program reflects the state's economic and community development priorities and provides public funds for activities which meet one of the following national objectives in accordance with the Federal Housing Community Development Act of 1974 as amended, that benefit low and moderate income persons and households, aid in the prevention or elimination of slum and blight, or meet other community development needs of an urgent nature that are an immediate threat to community health and welfare. The town of Berlin is conducting this public hearing to provide information on the progress of CDMD 08. That is the special grant that we received this year for the elimination of slum and blight on a spot basis at 130 Flower Street. It was funded under the Maryland Community Development Block Grant Program, which is the federally funded program designed to assist governments with activities directed towards neighborhood and housing revitalization, community development, and improved community facilities. The MDE, so I'll just give an update and then we can talk about, or I can answer any questions. The Maryland Department of the Environment had some asbestos permitting issues that the requirement took longer than expected. But as you're already aware, we were able to expand the scope of work and stay within the budget of the total grant allocation, which was $297,000 for this particular grant. The scope of work that we addressed and we were able to expand over the last 2 months all came because the original bid that we had to demolish just the multipurpose building came in lower than we had anticipated. The entire demolition has been completed as of June 30th, and a final inspection with the construction contractor was completed on July 1st. The abatement and demolition are now complete. The site is prepared for the next phase, which is pre-construction.
All right, so we'll open the public hearing first. If anybody would like to comment, and the purpose of the public hearing is to comment on any of the work or the expense of funds that have been completed thus far.
Yes, thank you.
So let's open up the public hearing for the CDBG FY25 CDBG program grant that we just talked about. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council regarding that agenda item? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to close the public hearing. Now we'll take any questions or comments from the council to Sarah. Good. Sarah, great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure if you all have had the opportunity to drive on Flower Street, then you can see it's just been a major transformation, and the amount of work they were able to do and do it so quickly is really exciting. And it really feels like the ground is primed and ready for all the next phases, which our architect, Danielle Haley, has helped me to design and to come up with. And then we have the funding for it secured already through our USDA earmark grant, which we'll be receiving any day now. So yeah, I'm waiting for the check, but it's in the mail from what I can tell. And it's really exciting to know that we have that next step.
And the interesting part, I know you said it, but it's worth repeating, that we started with just the demolition of our multi-purpose building, but then through diligence with our team, and the pricing that we were able to get with the contractor, we were able to expand upon that to include the shore up building, which were not occupied.
They were abandoned at that time.
Admin office, yep. And then all of that has been moved to Snow Hill temporarily, and we're trying to do everything we can to get that built and back in Berlin as quickly as possible. With that being said, I think it only cost us what, like $20,000, $22,000.
I think that was the difference.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of value to the work that you did with the CDBG grant, and then what our team was able to put together.
Thank you.
Great job.
Well done, Sarah.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you all.
questions or comments for Sarah? Okay, great job.
Thank you.
Up next is agenda item 4, and that's items for approval. Before each one of these are action, there will be an opportunity for public comment. We'll begin with agenda item 4A, which is motion 2026-40, and that's an invitation to bid for 2026-06 Westminster and Abbey and Upshur stormwater management upgrades. And our engineer with EA, Stephen Lemasters, is here as well with coordinator Jessica McIntosh. Jessica here as well? Yep, there you are. Sorry. I didn't see you back there, but you're welcome to come forward. All right, if you don't mind just giving us an overview of what's in our packet and what you need from us to be able to get this project moving along.
Sure. So what you have in the packet are 2 documents primarily. It's the specification manual that outlines the technical specifications for the project, and also the front end like contract documents that outlines the contracts agreements with the contractor. In addition to that, primarily is the drawings themselves that outlines kind of the size and the scope of what we're trying to accomplish out there in the neighborhood.
Just to clarify a little bit, the full packet is on the website, but it's in the packet, the printed packet. Just
So it was like 400 pages.
yes, so it's a very abbreviated version of what you have in paper form in front of you.
Appreciate the clarification, Mary. So many of you, if not all of you, probably recall the original design of this was funded through the Chesapeake Bay Trust grant. They primarily funded it with a little bit of money from the town of Berlin and Maryland Coastal Bays to get that through design and permitting. I think it wrapped up in the 2024 time period, spring 2024. Shortly after that, Maryland Coastal Bays had an opportunity to go after a grant through Maryland DNR called the Whole Watershed Act, or a grant that took a slew of projects, and Jess can maybe expand on this if you desire, a slew of projects and compiled them into a single grant application. And they were successful at winning the grant itself. So this project is one of several underneath of that that's underway. So it's fully funded through that grant itself for the construction and the management of the actual contractor throughout the course of construction, including part-time inspection work. So as far as the scope of the project, there's 2 existing stormwater facilities out there, one on the end of Upshur, which is a dry basin, just a depression in the land, and one parcel of land within Buckingham Estates that is an existing stormwater facility that dates back to the late 90s approximately. In addition to that, there's a paper street, an undeveloped street right next to it that's owned by the town. So what the project is incorporating is an expansion of the Buckingham Estates stormwater management facility, retrofitting it to be a more modern green infrastructure stormwater facility, in addition to doing the same thing at the Upshur Street location. Both are proposed to be submerged gravel wetlands. So at the surface, it'll just look very similar to the project we completed in 2023 at Graham Avenue. Drive by there, same type of facility, so you expect to see the same sort of features at the surface, be heavily vegetated, with some forebays to capture the sediment, and then the treatment happening within the gravel itself.
Is there a way, I know we talked about trying to connect Upshur to Abbey Lane via bike and pedestrian. Is there a way through this design process that we can try to accommodate that? Even if it is a raised wooden surface?
I would imagine that there would be, yeah.
We could put some information about like the treatment side, like what those projects are actually doing for the environment, like what we did over Crane.
Yeah, so basically a walking path, from understanding correctly, from Upshur that extends over to Westminster or Abbey, and then we do some sort of display board off the side of it, similar to what we did at Graham Avenue. Yeah,
because if you look, like right there between the trees, there's a little bit of a cutout when you have a little bit of the ditch there.
Yeah.
So people do cut in and out.
For sure. Yeah.
But it'd be nice to kind of have a defined way to be able to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a great one.
Called the desire path.
There you go.
So,
I desire to travel that much.
those, for your presentation.
Yeah, I'll take questions. Yeah.
So we had emailed back and forth in March.
Mhm.
You may not remember, but I had sent you some pictures, and really what we were talking about was, does this project include regrading, cleaning out, basically connecting, if you will, the upper to lower onto the to the Abbey Pond? And you said that the area does appear to be within the project's limit of disturbance and could be rectified with some minor grading during construction.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make note of it within the files and make sure that attention is provided to that area during construction.
Mm-hmm.
So what I didn't find that in the scope of work,
Mm-hmm.
unless, so I guess I just want to make sure that that is part of what you're proposing.
Yeah, we're definitely tracking that. So that's the more nuanced thought there is, all that area is fairly flat, so making a connection from that ditch over into the facility isn't a hard thing to overcome. It'd just be a matter of directing the contractor to do the work. The documents that were in the packet itself were the permitted documents. So we could go through the process of adding notation or additional scope of work in the summary of work to kind of direct that initially. My thought with that response is, we're going to have people out there during construction doing some inspection work. They can direct the contractor to do that minor grading. Like, it's such a small little piece of the overall picture that can be accommodated.
All right, and so I'm doing this from memory because the picture is not here, but so the piping that's going out to west.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this project really is going to impact, of course, Upshur, and then the folks, I don't know what side that is on. If I'm looking at Abbey, that side, it's going to affect those folks because it's going to be easier for the water to come down and be able to submerge, grab up, and out good.
Mhm.
What about the folks on the other side, closer to west, that live on? I guess that would be like the even side or the odd numbered side of.
It's hard for me to kind of follow along with it, but generally, everything from the school to the Upshur, Tingle area to Buckingham goes into that depressed area, the Two Pond area, and it all flows out to West Street currently. Like, we're not reconfiguring anything to redirect water. The two stormwater features will hold more water, so you would expect to see a reduction of flooding on those within the roadways themselves, on the private properties within the channels.
So the primary area that we notice flooding is in that West Street, Abbey Lane, where it comes to T of Westminster.
Yep.
This should, hypothetically, hold more of that water in these submerged gravel wetlands as opposed to being in the public right of way or in citizens' yard.
Yeah,
Hypothetically.
that's correct. So this is very, very similar to the Graham Avenue situation, where, if you recall, we did phase 1 of Pine Street, which was the storm drain work that took it from William up Pine and stopped it at Pine Street. Phase 2 was Pine, Franklin, Nelson. And then the Graham Avenue Submerged Gravel Wetland is up further in the headwaters of it. We had an issue finding funding for the additional storm drain work, but we had an opportunity to do the Submerged Gravel Wetland. It's kind of out of order since you have this bottleneck in the middle. This is the same sort of situation where we're doing something in the headwater to improve the situation. It's not a solution to the flooding to Abbey and West, since we have that bottleneck still existing in West all the way down to the branch itself.
So what is the width of the pipe that's going that's currently at West where this is going to be?
It's a 24-inch. Yeah.
So it wouldn't really make sense for us to do this alternative to go from 24 to 36 on that pipe on this.
It's kind of piecing it to where we want to be. We have the funding opportunity now to do the work, rather than doing a small piece, then doing a larger one. The large piece would be the west infrastructure, and then coming back to try to fill in another smaller area. Am I following the question?
You are following the question, and I don't want to belabor the point, but that seems to me like that would cause more issues with more water going into a smaller pipe.
So what we did with Graham, like what you gave the example, I remember when we sat here and we talked about what level of impact we would see, right? Mm-hmm. And we all thought that it was going to be on the lower side of the impact, but then it actually ended up having a pretty significant value with the flooding that occurred. So, yeah. I mean, it's likely that we could see a similar circumstance here, but then what I'm also hearing is that we're trying to maximize the grant funding that we have available, and then we can come back in and work through the other points.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so put some numbers to your question, if you will. The old facilities out there were designed to the old Maryland standards that was designed and permitted as a part of Worcester County's regulatory authority. That historical design was at a maximum 1 inch of rainfall. It could have been as low as half of an inch of rainfall. The design here, the ponds themselves can manage a 2-year storm with just 3.5, 3.6 inches. So they'll, no, in a 24-hour duration. Yeah. So a total of 3.6 in a 3.6 inches in a 24-hour period.
Can you put a number on a volume of water? What it's able to do now, and what will it be able to do?
That's a tough one without the report in front of me, but it'll be in the range of 4 times more water after construction than what it can currently do. Yes. So that was if they were designed for 1 inch of rainfall initially, they will manage 3.6 inches after construction.
It's possible they were designed for half inch.
It's possible. I think it's probably more likely it's 1 inch, but yeah.
So in your opinion, based on this project, after heavy rainfall, see a significant reduction in the flooding at Westminster or minor?
I feel like we'll have a significant, like compared to what they see currently, I feel like it's going to feel significant. You know, whenever we design Storm now, we would still design to a higher event, but we're space constrained in the area, so we're just maximizing the amount of space that we have to do as much good as we can.
What I'm hearing, this is kind of the first piece of the puzzle. And
Yeah, West Street is the main piece of the puzzle.
once you fix West Street,
That's an interesting statement. So what you're saying is that if you were to build this in new construction, you would go higher than 3.6.
For sure.
But the challenge here is that you're dealing with the available space that is already there.
For sure. Yep.
That's interesting. All right. Yeah.
The phasing, you can think of the way we did Flower Street.
Yep.
We did, and then this is not gonna be in the correct order, I don't think. But the ditch that was parallel shallow out to Flower, culvert and ditch right off of Flower and what is it called? The wetlands,
The offline wetland.
offline wetlands. So that was 3 days as funding allowed.
So I don't suppose you have any grant funding for West Street.
Not yet. But we will. We're gonna keep trudging away, right?
How much of this water will end up on the, I guess it's the east side of 113?
It flows the other direction.
It flows the other
The
direction.
east side, 113. It all eventually goes there. The water from here hits West Street, goes to about Bottle Branch, and then Bottle Branch flows down by the wastewater treatment plant and out by Cat Pond. So it eventually gets there.
I'm concerned about how much water the east side will be able to handle. You know, you stop flooding here and cause it here, that's another issue.
Yeah, so this is less moving water around than retaining the water, you know. So, I again, I don't have the numbers, but, you know, theoretically, the east side of 113 will also see the drop of flow because of the implementation of this project.
Because you won't be able to hold more.
It'll hold more, yeah.
Now, is West Street the dividing line on flow? Or
It's a little bit on the other side of West Street, like more towards the Liberty Town branch track. There's the dividing line there where then it flows to the Chesapeake. So
okay.
not far.
I thought that this was part of the opposite flow.
No, yeah, so Franklin Knoll is the dividing line. Half of Franklin Knoll goes to Chesapeake, and then half of Franklin Knoll comes to the Newport Bay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions before we open it up for public comment? Okay. Well, I'll get the gavel for that. We'll open up agenda item 4A, motion 2026-40, the invitation to bid for 2026-06 Westminster Abbey and Upshur stormwater management upgrades. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council may do so at this time. Just name and street name if you don't mind. Go ahead, Mary.
Mary Kowalski, Westminster Drive. Well, I'm going to speak with you.
Hey, good. How are you?
Well, I'm glad it's going to take care of some of that flooding that happened there on Weston Abbey. I'm really concerned that this pond was originally built for Buckingham State. There are 29 houses on Westminster Drive. There are billions of gallons of water that sit in those swales back behind those houses. This isn't going to help any of that to drain to get into those ponds. I mean, you've seen it. We've got bigger issues. There were permits issued from the tax planning director for sheds, for swimming pools, for concrete patios, for everything in the world that's blocking this flow. And while I think that we do need to do something about the flooding on Weston Abbey, I don't think that this is a fair thing to do because it's not addressing the issues that I've been dealing with you for over 10 years now. And when this first started, that pond used to flood. And I literally sent you guys, the people on the council at the time, videos of like it was a water fountain, water shot straight up out of the air. And it used to flood that whole grassy area, and it flooded Westminster and Abbey and everything in the surrounding area. Well, Jamie started playing with those pipes and replacing and fixing and doing stuff like that. That pond now drains. For the water that goes in there, from the stormwater from the street that goes in there, it definitely drains. Upshur is another whole situation. I don't know if connecting them is such a good idea. Upshur, when you go down Tingle, talking to those people there, again, permits were issued, that drainage well was filled in. That water just sits in those people's backyards. So while this is going to solve some of the problems, it's still not solving a bigger part of the problem. And I'm still sitting there watching my yard wash away because, and I can show you pictures. I can show you what my yard looks like, what my neighbor's yard looked like, this is what Westminster used to look like when that pond would flood. And there's ditches that are back behind that pond there and that back up or in front of Worcester Prep. There's no water flow. There's nothing. And I've got pictures of that after a rain. It looks like a beaver's back there. It dams up in spots or whatever, but there's nothing that's draining into that pond. So I just don't want to waste a grant money to do something that hopefully at some point we'll get back to fixing like the residential issue part of this and then have to go back and redo that pond again because I'm afraid whatever we do, it's not, if you're just basing this off of draining, 4 times the amount of water and it draining what will sit on the corner of Abbey and West Street, what happens when the rest of that water finally starts draining to where it's supposed to go?
No, those are great points. I'll say that it's absolutely valid. There's 2 components to it. There's regional stormwater and there's smaller drainage issues like you were saying. Sorry about turbine. The whole area is interconnected in the end. You're having effects from the school property because you're all in the same drainage area of watershed. With the pipes being blocked or too small, that allows water to be held back, which doesn't allow water to infiltrate. So there's a lot of things that are all kind of like commingling with each other that lead to a certain problem. So the hope, the intent of this is to increase the holding capacity, the receiving capacity of all that water that would be pushed somewhere else. It would be directed to a facility rather than spilling over into other areas. The water that comes off the school property, all of it does come through the same storm drainage system. There's a head wall back in the corner of this property that takes down private property and out to West Street. So all of that is intended to make its way down here. The project does include taking the school and Upshur and Tingle all into the main body of the facility directly rather than putting it into a pipe. So we are trying to be mindful of all of these things and trying to come up with a solution for the regional with the intent of also helping the local.
And with that being said, that pond was originally put in 1992. And when it was put in for Buckingham Estate. Now I know that Worcester Prep and then again because north of its athletic fields, the stormwater management or whatever was turned over, I believe, to the county. I'm not 100% of the prep for sure these many fields. Those fields have been draining into that pond. I mean, that pond has been getting that, and I can walk you back and show you exactly where it drains into it from. But the thing is, we're going to be fixing everybody else's problem, and we're taking this grant money that's going to be fixing like Worcester Preps or whatever. But once again, the residents in that area, my yard is literally washing away. I totally panicked a couple weeks ago. I don't know if Guyan's here or not, but the people behind me were building up their yard again. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous, but it's what my yard is washing away. And as I said, I appreciate everything you guys have done. I appreciate the thought of even doing this, but I just feel like this is a waste of money because there's a whole other issue. Like you said, it's all connected and it's not even being addressed. It's being pushed to the side again. And so, as I said, we can make that one look great. It'll, a beautification project. It'll look perfect or whatever. As our yards are totally washing away because this water's got no, there's no flow because of all the damage that's been done with everything that's been allowed to be built in these wells. So I don't know what the answer is. I honestly don't, you know, come on, you're the engineer, come up with something.
Yeah,
We hear those things, but
Yeah.
the challenge is that we kind of have to work within the confines of the available funding, right? And right now, there's available funding, as Stephen stated, for this type of project. So rather than doing nothing at all, we want to try and make some meaningful strides toward trying to improve the area.
Yeah, which I understand, but this is kind of like building that house that you've always dreamed of, with all the bells and whistles in it, but we're not gonna put a roof on it. It's the same, because once again, we're being stuck. We're the ones that are, we're the ones being left to deal with this, and a lot of our issues, and I've mentioned that, I've been talking about this for 10 years, most of our issues have been created by permits that were issued to block the water from even flowing. And if you go walk around that ditch back there, like from Worcester Park, you get, right now, you can't even walk through it. You can't even get through it. On my side of the street, like 1 through 8, they're supposed to be the high end of the ditch is 8, and it's supposed to drain down into, into one, that ditch there on Abbey Street. And I mean, from my lot, from 3 to 1, the water would actually have possibility, a chance of draining, but everything else has been built up. I mean, there's swimming pools, and these people got permits, and this was given by the town. And even though it took me until January of 2021, I was being told that this issue, this part of town, was Worcester County problem. And I was going down to Worcester County, and they kept telling me that I was crazy. And they told me to come back and tell you guys that this is a town of Berlin problem. And it wasn't until January of 2021 that I got something in writing that the town finally stated that this is a town problem. And as I said, I appreciate, I understand there's grant money available, but it's kind of using the grant money for something that's not going to fix the problem. It's helping a part of it, I guarantee, I hate to say this, but I guarantee you're going to get this done. That's going to look great. And the flooding is going to be 100 times worse on our property. It's just every time something's done where it's water, you got to start at the beginning. You can't start in the middle. You got to start at the beginning and work your way through it.
But if you talk to the folks over at Pine, Franklin, and Nelson, we did exactly that. And even over in Flower Street, we did exactly that.
Yep.
We didn't start at the solution part. We had to work within the confines of the grants we could find. And it has allowed us to be able to make meaningful progress in the entire system. Now, I remember when I lived on Grice Street. Corey, you're here. It was really bad. There were times when you could go out there and you could rock the AC unit and we go back and forth. That's how bad the flooding was. It's not that way now. We were trying to make progress on things that were built to handle a half inch to an inch of rain that we would now build to handle much more than that. So we're trying to make the progress where we can. I hear that there are other ways that we can improve, which we're open to all of those, but we got to really focus on what's in front of us right this moment.
And I agree with everything you just said, but everything you just said doesn't pertain to what I'm talking about. We've got a completely different set of circumstances where our drainage ditches have been blocked. And so this is going to fix the problem, the water. It's kind of like taking it in the middle. You're going to fix like the street or what, hopefully it'll fix the Avenue West Street situation or whatever. But it's going to do nothing for the 29 houses that we've got water sitting in our backyard with mosquitoes and everything else that you can't even, when we get those heavy rain, you can't go out back for a week at least. So as I said, I appreciate it. I know everything can't be fixed at once, but instead of just taking a portion of this, I would rather just see like the whole situation looked at versus just taking a part of it and once again leaving us with, with dealing with what the town has created.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the mayor and council? I think that we have Ms. Carroll over here.
Just real quick, Carol with Ian Drive. I'm aware what she's talking about because if I can have a state established, still a lot of settlements out there. Here's the thing that I don't quite understand. We're very blessed to have the grant money to do this work. And I know she's had a problem at least 10 years. I don't see why we have to always be dependent on grant money to take care of something which in my mind after 10 years is an emergency. Am I wrong? I mean, council members, now we've got tax revenue coming in and maybe we're spending money on things that are not necessary that could be used to take care of a 10-year-old problem.
Thank you. I will just remind everybody, this is an enterprise fund. So with accounting purposes, stormwater and enterprise fund has to work within itself to be able to handle those expenses.
I understand it. I'm sorry. There's got to be money somewhere to help take care of an issue that's been going on for 10 years. It's not right. It's just not right. And it needs to be addressed.
What's the grantor for this fund?
Maryland DNR.
So I think that that's also a great opportunity, right? So I think maybe sending letters to your state representatives that fund DNR programs and saying that it would be nice to have these types of grants available for assisting with residential-based projects, even if it's on a match basis. Could go a long way. I think we had a question over here.
I just want to know, I live on Upshur between Middle and Tangle, and I see the road is flooded, but it clears pretty quickly. I was shocked that it cleared so quickly after being so deep. So I've never even been down to the end of the street, but there's like one storm drain grate that gets blocked by leaves all the time. I've done it myself, cleared it out, just to get water going. What can I, as a resident on Upshur, expect from this project? If this is an appropriate place to ask this question, is the whole street going to be torn up? Are there going to be extra storm sewers in front of our curbs? Is my own yard going to be affected? I don't know anything about this project, and their problem was my problem until I luckily got a permit to remove all the grounds and put in clamshells and some permeable pavers, so I can walk in my backyard. My neighbors cannot. They are completely flooded, and I just couldn't live like that. So I did spend thousands of dollars on my own to fix my backyard problem, which has worked beautifully. But I really don't know where that water is going now. It might not even be going anywhere into her yard. I don't know. But now I'm more concerned about it. I live blocks and blocks from me, but still, I'm listening to all this. Like, my God, I'm one of those guilty permit people. But the thing being is, something does have to be done, but I don't see how it can all be done in one time. I feel very bad about that, but what's happening on Upshur from this project? What can I expect?
The interesting part about your yard, I used to watch before I went to elementary school. I used to watch the Ducks land where you live now. So it used to be very wet. I can promise you that.
People's driveways are now.
It was a field. Upshur was a dirt road.
Water. A lot of that is standing water because people are not actually keeping their properties on my immediate vicinity in decent repair. But still, this project looks like it's going forward. I would like to know what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the end of the road, the dead end portion of the road, the intent is not to tear up the road. There is existing catch basins on both sides. The ones, if you're pointing at the dead end, the one on the left side is not being touched, nor is the pipe underneath the road. I believe we're tying in a new larger pipe at the right one and discharging it into the new larger facility on the right hand side, that big dry basin.
That's behind all those houses.
Yeah, correct. And then all that water continues to go west.
Everything's going to be the same.
Everything's going to be the same flow wise, except it'll just accommodate receiving more water. So
okay, well, that's got to be a good thing, especially for people backyard.
Mhm.
So it's,
But there should be minimal disruption to your own residential property. And somewhat, I would say most of Upshur from like, Tingle to Middle and Purnell, probably you won't even see a real change in that street.
because when I first got the package, it sounded like there was a potential for massive disruption. I don't know what happened in rain, whatever.
No,
The roads being blocked, I don't know what's happened.
Yeah, but I mean, for that, most of it was situated to the property. There is some traffic that you'll notice probably with like gravel, because they do fill that with a significant amount of, what do you call it?
stone aggregate.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm expecting there will be some traffic on the road to haul in and haul out. But
Something like where you can't drive on the street.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And then Miss Marie?
I'm ready to on, Westbury. I missed the beginning of this. I understand that Upshur, the stormwater pond is going to drain into the one on, Westminster.
correct. Yeah.
So the water is going to come from there, as does it now?
Yes, it does. Yeah, not as directly. The existing facility on the end of Upshur, it has a small, like a 6-inch pipe that takes it between the two last lots on Upshur to the ditch along the school property, and then bypasses the pond currently. But it all comes to West Street.
Okay. I looked at the plan. It looked to me like they're putting a 36-inch pipe into a 24-inch pipe on West. How does that work?
Yeah, that's the whole bottleneck scenario that you might have not been here. I apologize. It is a bottleneck scenario that isn't desired, but we're kind of working within the confines of the grant. The grant itself is for water quality.
Seems
So
to me like you're gonna start a flood on West Street and Abbey Corner again. We don't have that now. That whatever's been done has corrected a lot of the flooding on West Street at that area. I lived there, right at that corner. You put in that much water going into that, I'm assuming there's 2 drains on each corner. You're adding 12 inches of water to a pipe that's not suited for it. What is it gonna do? It's gonna come up through those grates and flood the street. I don't understand the engineering.
yeah, that's a valid concern. Trying to figure out where you came in at maybe. The facilities are sized to hold more water. So those normal storm events would be held within the facilities rather than being discharged downstream. And then the larger storms, those ponds would rise and end up flooding the West Street and Abbey, and it would flood Westminster and Abbey just because they're already natural sumps. Like there's no way for the water to escape. So regardless of
You're adding to it. I mean, it's not happening anymore. So you do that and we'll have it again.
yeah,
I used to not be able to go to work. The
Yeah.
water was so hot.
yeah, I know.
So I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, the goal is going to be to take the sizing of the pipe that would be here to the same size when West Street is redone. So then there wouldn't be this bottleneck that Stephen's talking about. We're trying to address it the way that we addressed Franklin, Nelson, Bryce, Pine, and Graham, is we're channeling the funding in the areas that we can at the moment. But then, like Jack said, where's the money for West Street? Well, we're working on it, right? We're still trying to find that availability. But the same thing's going to happen when we start to do the work for the first phase of West Street closer to Buckingham Elementary. We're going to size those pipes and then work our way back over.
So in about 5 years, you'll get to the end of West Street again. No, I mean, it's really a bad plan. If you're gonna use money, use it to fix West Street. Then fix the stuff going into it. You're doing it ass backwards.
Some of this is geared, I'm sure, towards water quality, which is why we have Ms. McIntosh here.
It's
And-
not good water quality if it's making mosquito. And that's what it does.
The submerged gravel wetlands generally don't produce
They don't.
mosquito,
But if you have standing water, it does.
but they're not. So this will be similar, like Steven said. I don't know where you came in, but this is going to be very similar to like what's on Graham Avenue at the end. So where Graham and what is it?
Yeah, it's ugly.
Nelson, thank you. Where Graham and Nelson meet by Steve's old building. Right there is kind of what this would look like, but it's going to be bigger, right? Because it's going to span these.
Yeah, it'll be approximately the same size, but
Okay.
into 2 facilities instead of 1.
Are you using that lot next to it?
Yes. Yeah.
Or it?
Yes. Yeah, we're expanding the existing facility over into the grass lot. Yeah.
Is it making a hole?
No, it's not, because the town's water main that connects the two runs through there. So we're shifting the water main over as far as we can to maintain maintenance operations, and then using the rest of the
That's another idea I had, as far as you talk about connectivity with the town. If you made that a road going to Upshur from Westminster, that would have been good to use that spot. But if it's got water mains, you could carry them like you do everything else.
All right. Anyone else that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2026 dash? Do I have another one? Sorry, I couldn't see your hand.
Sorry.
Just name.
From Henry Mill.
Thank you.
And, I just want to say, I've lived here since 99, and this has been a problem all over town since 99. And our neighborhood has been on uproar since 99 about this. Tom Dad was in my backyard all the time, there's a swale, I told the builder to put the swale in. We had a hurricane, they said, never mind, the river runs through my backyard, leave it. They filled it in, put a culvert in, my neighbor put a pool in, locked the culvert, broke the culvert. You know, built his yard up 5 inches, it was permitted. I wouldn't want rainwater draining into my pool either, I can't really blame him, he was allowed to do it. You know, but this is, and my neighborhood has been it took our, like 3 hours of our annual meeting, stormwater management. And the flooding and, you know, at my end, first block of the street, we don't get it in our, crawl spaces if it's close. At the other end, down near the stormwater management pond, it certainly does. And I think our pond is now, because we take so much stormwater from the neighborhood, I think it's about 80%. And we're looking at some very expensive solutions in the neighborhood. And it concerns me, if it's a $10,000 special assessment, I can tell you all 48 houses in my neighborhood will simultaneously. You know?
Thank you.
I mean, I did it an issue all the time. I just think, like Carol said, we need to maybe, I understand we're working with grant money and the availability of grant. And we have, I taught for 35 years, I know grant money. It can only be used in the way it was written. You can't change it, you can't, you know. But I do think maybe as a town we need to be looking at some ways to manage it, you know. And even, I'm seeing the word in St. Paul's, we have water issues there coming out of it. Water in the basement, water, you know, big cemetery repairs all the time, sinkholes in their cemetery because of water. You know, it's all over town.
I think that, I've said this before, it's one thing to have an enterprise fund for stormwater management, but this has been something that has been ignored for 30 years or more here. And it's time that the general fund put some money towards stormwater. Instead of wasting money on other things, use it for infrastructure. Infrastructure is first, then you do development, and we have been doing it backwards the whole time, especially in stormwater, and especially in this area, because their flooding came to my house. The 1 year, I think it was in 12, when we had a terrible rainstorm.
And 100 years, 100 year, yeah.
That
They came across the railroad
Yes,
tracks.
I had to replace all the irrigation under my house, and I had to put in $2,500 worth of dirt around my house to protect it from any more
100-year floodplain problem. So these are things that you're gonna run into angry people when you talk about it like it's, oh, it's a grant, and we can only do this, and it's just the beginning. We've been waiting for a long time, and we're promised when you put in the stormwater utility that something would be taken care of. Not that we would still be charged more fees to do the same job that should have been done 25 years ago. And that is where you are. And nothing you say is going to change the way any of us feel.
Thank you. I think that we hear these things quite a bit when it's related to our aging infrastructure or things that have been broken for a while. What I will say is that hearing that they're broken, right, and then trying to find solutions. We can't fix 30, 40, 50, in some cases, 60 to 70-year-old problems within a short period of time, right? It takes time for us to be able to make these repairs, whether it's water wells, whether it's aging. We've got a main sewer lateral that is 40 years past its useful life. So, I mean, we're dealing with a lot of challenges here that are part of running a municipality, but we're trying to make meaningful strides into fixing those things where we can. So, do we have any other public comment regarding motion 2026-40?
I'd like to say one thing. I think some of the frustration that I hear people saying, Corey Davis, live on Bray Street. Probably what a lot of frustration is, they want grant money, this and that. They're wanting the general fund to step in and help them because part of the problems that have caused this is all the new houses that have come in, that's increased the tax revenue the town has gotten exponentially, dumped into the old stormwater management. They couldn't handle it. And that caused a problem, but the town got all this money and hadn't done anything with it as far as helping, stop the problems that they created by getting this money.
So hearing that concern, right, I want everybody to understand that when we say the general fund, it's not like it's some mystical place, right? It is our tax dollars. And when we say an enterprise fund, those things are user-based fees. So Corey mentioned as the town grows, the tax base grows, the general fund budget grows, right, with revenues. The same logic applies with the stormwater fees, right? Because each residential consumer pays a certain fee. So if you get more residential consumers, you're getting more revenue. Correct. However, when you talk about cash flow, the fund has operated at a deficit for many years. We just started to break even barely. And the challenge is that we have all of these infrastructure challenges, but we don't have the available revenue to be able to help satisfy the needs exceed the money coming in to be able to address them. And then we talk about, okay, well, let's reappropriate some more funds, right? So we did. The town does apply some extra funding that we received. It was grant funded, right? Because we do operate on a very thin margin. But we took the ARPA funds. How much in ARPA funds did we direct toward? All of it basically went to infrastructure. And a good portion, if not 20% or more, went to stormwater. So we've made significant investments that would have taken us years and a lot more money in fees to be able to make those improvements. And here we're trying to leverage some more money that is in a fund that's basically hobbling along when it should be. How old is the stormwater fund?
10 years.
10 years. So think of a 10-year-old that's supposed to be walking. Our fund is still crawling, right? And it needs to be walking, but it's going to take more money to make it walk.
The problem going on is y'all need to have a meeting, get your heads together and try and figure out something to get something done.
I think what we're asking for is a plan, a prioritized plan. We know, I mean, like my church, like my HOA, we can't do all of it all at once. We know this. Can't do it in my house all at once either. You need to have a pipe, when Steve Pipe comes in and gives me a list of 400 things that's gonna cost me $2,000 each, I have to say, I put that on my plan. So we just need to prioritize.
We have one. We have a plan. The plan started with all the projects. I think it's available on the website.
I can't swear.
But the plan addressed the initial phases, which were over in Flower Street, over on Bottle Branch, over on Graham, Grice, Pine, and Nelson. And now we've completed those projects. And now we're moving over toward West Street to be able to focus on that. So when you say a plan, we have one. And we're just methodically working through that plan.
But you are, it's got to be a way to get money or do something to get more done and not people 10 years or for it. It's important.
And those
How
concerns
would you feel if
are involved.
your money for your home, and your life dream to have your home, and you can't even use your yard, it's not working. It's not right.
We hear all of those concerns, but well, I think we've heard what everybody has said. It's not lost on us. We certainly use
You
that.
all hear, but you say damn thing ever.
But at the same time, you sit there and talk about funds needed for this, funds needed for that, and you have directed that toward the general fund. What is the largest income source of the general fund? Say it again. Say it again. Say it again now.
Real estate tax.
It's real estate tax.
Yes, and
But at the same time, you're not going to be able to obtain funds for the projects needed, for the projects that you have talked about, from not buying chairs, from not buying a car now and then. You're going to have to increase the income base to address these concerns you want to address. And I really don't want to hear a discussion about tax now, and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought I would throw that in there.
I'd like to say, I agree with what you're saying, but we also got to make sure that all of our residents are paying tax. And we've also got to make sure
Do you know of any that aren't?
No.
Do you know of any residents that are?
Yes, I do.
Then
Yes, I
I
do.
would say direct that to.
Mayor, we did not assess.
Yeah, but if you have a property.
Hold on.
If you know of any property that is tax exempt.
No, not tax exempt.
Okay.
Just failed to pay taxes.
Well, there's a process for that. We don't handle that, but there is a process.
But with that being said, our problem is not that we don't have enough money, we're misspending on money. We're spending $3.3 million on the renovation. We're going to talk next about $300,000 worth of some god awful furniture. We could have taken that $3.5 million and put it towards infrastructure. And we don't do that. Instead, we're taking money that there needed to be repaired. That elevator needed to be repaired, but we didn't need to do what we did to it. But we do need to do something about this flooding problem. And you're talking about real estate taxes. My tax bill was outrageous this time, but I'm losing value on my property because my yard's washing away, and I'm paying my taxes. I mean, every year I'm paying my taxes. So when we sit there and we hear, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to raise our taxes. Well, we need to make sure that all properties are paying taxes and that the money that we are getting in is being used responsibly versus what we're doing.
Thank you. Can we move on now, please?
Well, I just have a question, another question. If this is there's the motion 26-40 invitation to bid, then it says 2606. I think 2606 was a different motion.
2606 is the bid.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. All right, great, clear that. So this is an invitation to bid. If this gets approved, what's the next step? Then it goes out, contractors to go to do that and figure out who to hire, right?
Yeah, the documents we put out into the public for contractors to review, to estimate, and to submit construction bids on.
So again, I don't have
And
the
then
drawing.
they'll bring that before this body for approval.
Right. So I don't have that drawing in front of me again, but I do remember seeing it. And my concerns for this really right now, it seems like Upshur Tingle area will be fine in this discussion. What I'm concerned about is the folks on the one side of Westminster that aren't getting any assistance from this and the connection to West. And I'm not an engineer. So if there's two separate sized pipes, is there a plan like, I don't know, a pit where it goes down instead of flooding up? Like, so what I'm going to make a motion is, I think, actually, I'm going to ask this question first. Can this documentation be amended to include anything else?
I think within certain confines.
So such as what we've been hearing tonight, you know, because it is kind of disheartening to, I understand the whole watershed grant, remember that, and it's all about water quality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on one hand, we want to improve water quality, but we're not addressing an issue that a lot of people have had for many years. So that's where I guess, do they have to be mutually exclusive of each other, or is there anything that can be done?
But the thing is that we are.
The primary purpose of the fund is to improve water quality in the Newport Bay. However, at the same time we're improving water quality, we can also address some of the stormwater mitigation problems. But the funding, the grant, what they want to see is the result of improved water quality. That's their primary.
And I would also say that, like, when we talk about this, we are making things better. Because
just heard.
I don't, but hold on. I mean, I don't know how many times all of you have been out there, but I've been out there in boots where West Street, like Miss Marie says, it's up to my knees.
No, I understand that. But
This is designed to hopefully try and address some of that. Is it going to fix the whole kit and caboodle? Probably not. But is it going to impact and help the residents? I think yes.
That's your opinion, obviously.
Well,
they seem to think that's not going to be the case.
It's an educated opinion based off of what we did for Graham, Bryce, and Nelson.
I
agree. Nelson Street doesn't flood anymore. Yeah. I mean, the suburban gravel is ugly. It's ugly. I mean, but it's
not the most
working.
beautiful
I agree
thing.
100%. Used to be Lake Nelson. But I guess I just want to hear from them personally.
Yeah, I would agree with the mayor that it's going to better the situation, both locally at the intersection of Westminster and Abbey and at the intersection of Abbey and West Street.
What about the people that deal with chronic flooding in their yards?
I would say that it's hard to tie them together, but generally I would say with more water being held where we want it to be held and not spilling over into other areas or backing into other areas, it should have an impact on the region as well.
I agree with you on mine. That's I'm sorry, but that's an incorrect statement. The water sits in my backyard. And I can show you, it doesn't flow. It doesn't even make it to the drainage on Abbey to go into the pond. So anything that's going into that pond has got nothing to do with that swale that sits behind the houses 1 through 29 on Westminster.
Yeah,
It all sits there.
that's fair. If there's something that's impeding the flow in the backyards, then
Yeah.
this project isn't directly helping that impediment. The impediment would have to be removed on the private property.
That's a different problem too. That's all different.
But I mean, when we say that, right? Like when we say that we're going to move this project along, it doesn't mean that we're going to lose sight of the residents' concerns and where they are. Maybe we have to look at maybe working with the town attorney to send letters to folks that maybe have built in those swales to be able to say, hey, look, if you have a pool there and it fails, you can't put a new pool there because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe we have to think about this a little bit differently. But right now, it doesn't change that this is going to have impact.
Even doing that doesn't help anything because there's a pool there. And so even if we say you can't rebuild it, they've got a permit for it. And I can show you the properties that have gotten permits.
But how do you propose we fix it?
See, what's it? Okay.
Regrade them.
Yeah, regrade them, go back through it. According to the Maryland Department of the Environment, they told me I should sit there and really push to have everything that's in that swale removed. Everything from 1 through 8, and then on the other side, because those permits never should have been issued, but they were. And so because of that, it's now causing problems for those of us who do keep our ditch clean, who do what we're supposed to do. I mean, even Stephen was out there God, like 8 years or whatever it was now, we put a French drain in my backyard. And he said it was our best, worst option. I believe is what he said it at the time. And so instead of the water going down in this French drain, it shoots straight up. It's because it's solid clay. It doesn't, so it's, but as he said, when I sit here and I hear things say like, well, we got to start here, we got to do this, we got to do that. I mean, I keep hearing this and I keep hearing that we've got you in mind. We know there's a problem, but nothing does to change it. I'm sorry.
How do you propose that we handle this situation before us this evening?
Yeah, and then ours will get pushed off again.
No, I'm asking the question. How do you propose that we handle the situation that we have tonight, which is grant funding that we can use to assist with the roadway portion? I'm struggling to understand.
Well,
how
okay,
to move forward.
okay. If that grant is it used just for water, like the
That's correct.
clarity of how clear the water is? Okay, quality. Sorry, not a good word. You can use the quality of water in my yard. It's like, it's all part of the same problem. It's like again, we're piecemealing on West Street. West Street is an embarrassment. It just, and don't even get me started on West Street. But it's like, we just can't keep taking one part of a huge problem, like these people over at Henry Mill, and just, it's all connected. And all we keep doing is putting a Band-Aid on things and not fixing anything.
Stephen, if that French drain that's in her backyard will continue through all the properties down to Abbey,
I was just thinking through the same thought process myself.
Back to Abbey.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I see there being two solutions. It would be modifying the structure on Abbey to bring it down a little bit, and then regrading a swale with positive drainage all the way up to the high point with no impediments. The second point would be something similar. You do a French drain, an underground infiltration trench is what we would call it. Tie it into that basin and it would run up. So it would be what Mary did on her property, a 2 foot deep trench filled with stone and a pipe to carry the water down to the structure. The flip side of that conversation is as water starts to build up, as the flooding starts to occur, it's going to push through that underground pipe onto the properties right back. So again, this is all a very interconnected system whenever it's all low-lying. There's not very much topography to push the water in a direction.
But in her case, many of the surrounding property have filled in their swale, so it's graded up. So that water obviously can't go in.
Yeah, I think it's part of
some sort of drainage.
Yeah, I think the primary solution would be to get the impediments out of the way on the surface. Because as soon as you start introducing underground, that's just another avenue for water to come in.
So Dave, from a legal standpoint, what would be involved in going to these homeowners and saying, we have to swale that?
You have to look at it. Most of these structures have been there for years.
And we're permanent.
And they're permanent.
We're talking
when you say years, probably some of them decades.
Yeah.
So back to my original question. I guess I'm going to make a motion to table 2026-40.
I don't think that's smart. You're going to lose your grant. I'll lose the grant. Yep.
Of course we are.
Mayor, you said, what do we want you to do? And I think what everybody here.
I said, how do you propose that we handle
Yeah,
what's before us this evening?
Well, here's what we, as your constituents that elected everyone to do up there, here's what we want you all to do. Put yourself in our spot, in Mary's spot, and Deb's spot. Just think that you are them, and their hand is your hand. And think about how much you spent to build them into your dreams, and how it is that you can't use your job. Put yourself in their life, and then think about why, after all of these, they're so frustrated. I mean, y'all are educated people. There's got to be a way you get to figure out something, at least get started on it. something to help them. We find money, anytime somebody wants something around this town, we find the money for the radios, for the snowstorms, for whatever, that all of a sudden they roll it, oh, we found some money, we'll find some money somewhere to get this done. Maybe there's some people that we don't need to be working. We can, well, I don't know what we're gonna do, but it's time that this is taken seriously.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with what Mary has said about the sweat. There are nice trim cut grass sitting there supposedly doing nothing. And that may be a part of my yard I could use. But you don't need a swale until you need it. You are absolutely correct when you said those permits should have never been issued. That is a shortcoming. That is a mistake made by our planning office and made by us. But the issue tonight is dealing with water quality. And we're not forgetting your situation. We're not forgetting the situation you are in. But the issue tonight is this grant fund that if we don't act upon, we will probably lose and then still won't have an opportunity to increase, no, not increase, but improve this interconnected wastewater system anyway. So we need to act on the question this evening concerning water quality.
So what's the timeline for the grant that we just got tonight?
So those funds have to be spent out by June of 2027.
Question, has the grantor vetted the plans and specifications?
The plans and specifications were submitted as a part of the initial grant application that was submitted to DNR. And DNR also took a pass at the projects proposed and prioritized them, if that's the correct
They could
verbiage.
give input on which projects would be funded, yeah.
The grant was funded based on this scope of work.
Correct.
Well, that was.
I don't think anybody wants to put money on it. I don't think that's what we're trying to get across.
No.
No.
You're trying to get across, and we hear you. The situation concerning flooding in your yards, and we hear you, but that's another discussion. The discussion is water quality and it's great fun.
So with that, we'll take action by the council if we can get it. There's no public hearing. There was just input before action items. I don't know. So, action by the council.
Well, we're a little bit behind the eight ball here. We have to, I believe we have to move forward. But we do, well, it's just words, I guess, to you all right now, that we do hear you. And I know that we don't feel like we're listening, but I'm taking it all in. You know, where I lived on Washington Street, we had a terracotta pipe that ran through our backyard, flooded. We had sinkholes. It predates most of the public works staff. Then my basement flooded. So I know about the town's aging infrastructure. I mean, it cost us thousands of dollars. The insurance didn't cover it because of that. So I definitely, all I can say is just word that we hear you. But I do believe we need to move forward with this grant application. I just really just advise, if any way at all, we just don't make their lives worse, you know, through this, you know, and again, it's words, and I believe you all have the best intentions as well. So I'll make a motion to approve 2026-40.
So thank you. So I have a motion by Councilmember Green, a second by Vice President Burrell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Let the record reflect the votes 3-1 with Councilmember Orris opposed and Councilmember Nichols absent.
I would like to see us take a hard look at what we can do to help nurse.
I think we've evaluated every angle of that we can, but Stephen, continue to communicate with Mary, and if there's a way that we can handle that from a neighborhood perspective, we're certainly open to those things.
So I just have a question.
Those permits were issued.
Yeah,
And we need to look at that.
Yeah.
When we were having our email back and forth, had you already submitted the plans to the grantor?
I didn't take a look at the timeline, but I believe so.
Yeah, these for the grantor, I mean, that was submitted like over a year
So the
ago.
original grant application, it was finalized in March, April of 2024. That these were stamped approved.
So at any point from March 2024 to March of 2026, you could have told me I was wasting my time.
You're not wasting your time. I
I
don't
believe that I am. I'm sorry. I don't understand how this has come to us at this point in the stage of the game. And I am very concerned about this piping going into West Street. I'm going to say it again. I'm not an engineer, so I have to take your word. But to me, what they see every day and what they have said makes a little bit more sense. Might not be accurate. I don't know. But all I'm asking is that it doesn't really matter now because it's approved. But West Street needs to be addressed for the flooding there from Abbey, and these folks here in Westminster on that side that's coming down, their water's not even getting to this pipe that you're about to tear up driveways for. I'm done.
Thank you. We appreciate both your help, and if there's anything that you need from us, let us know.
But I just want to say one more thing. I'm glad to hear from Mary that flooding in her yard has gotten considerably better.
It's gotten considerably worse.
Marie.
Yeah.
Wrong. I'm saying Marie.
Marie.
I
The other
know, but the road doesn't.
Yeah, the road,
So that's better.
since Janie's been working on that pipe, the drainage on Abbey and on West Street has gotten 100% better.
But keep in mind too, since they have worked on that pipe, we have not had a true significant rainfall. So sitting there saying that it's gotten better is great when it's dry.
Yes. Well, we've had a couple of heavy rain.
We had rain
and
here.
But it's not been a saturated ground with a heavy rain. We have not had that.
We haven't had
That
but
regardless.
It didn't flow.
it's not, if it wasn't 100-year flood idea, but it was a downpour that used to flood all the time. It wasn't something that just happened once.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both. We're good. We're moving on to our next agenda item. Dean's going to run point. I got two. Up next, agenda item 4B, motion 2026-41, the approval of town hall renovation furniture. Myself, Mayor Zach Kendall, and our architect, Danielle Haley, are going to run point. We do have a presentation. It's in the packet. It's not in our printed packet, but it was available online. Oh, do we have the printed version? Okay, you guys, yeah. So we're going to kick that off. I do want to note that before we go, yep, I know, but I'm not going to use it. It's a crab mouth. I do want to note that before we begin, can you go to what is it, slide 2 or 3 with the budget breakdown? All right. So looking at the grand total of $252,773.85. When you look at that, I want to note that staff have put their heads together. We've taken what the council and everybody has to say, as well as trying to make it what's manageable and be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. We have reduced the approved up to amount of $300,703 to this figure, which is roughly a 20% reduction. Some of that is coming from the competitive pricing that we get. So when you look at the total list price and the grand total down there on the left, that's if you were like a private company and you wanted to go buy the same exact stuff on the market. We are part of a group competitive bidding process, which is like Sourcewell. You'll probably hear us say that quite a bit, but this is Omnia. So that is the government pricing that we are getting on this equipment and this furniture. So the town of Berlin is qualifying for that. So Danielle, if we want to continue along the way, or if you have any introduction you want to make.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
again, this is not my presentation, so I'm going to stumble through it a little bit. It is my consultant's, the interior designer, and we worked with a company called Officeworks. So the predominant supplier of the furniture is called Technion. That comes with some pretty robust warranties, which was another reason why we went with this, why the team went with this group. I know this looks like, and it's a very large number, but I just want to remind everybody, we are outfitting 10,000 square feet of all new furniture. It is 22 executive offices. It's 3 conference rooms, a break room, waiting areas, and then the council chambers. So it is quite a bit of space when you kind of break it down, and we do have a breakdown even more than that, but I'll just kind of go through just so you.
Hold on, Danielle. Actually, I forgot to say, I know some folks have reached out about the figure. I did find in 2018, just for perspective, we don't build many buildings that are brand new or retrofit buildings often. But what I will say is that in FY18, we did build a new police department. And when we built the new police department in our FY18 capital budget, which is available online, you would be able to see that $158,000 was what we used for the police department furniture. If you did a present value calculation on that and brought that figure current to FY27, which is where we are now, that would be $226,000 in today's dollars. And you have what? How many offices over at the police station? Like four or five
offices, quad room, conference room.
So just for perspective, you're talking about a department of 4 or 5 admin office suites. You're talking cubicles for like a workroom. You're talking a conference room, a break room, similar to like what we have here. But here you have many more administrative offices that you're outfitting. So keep in mind, $226,000 to do the police department if we had to do it present day. And we're looking at $252,000 and some change for outfitting town hall.
But in all fairness, that was funded with casino funding.
However you fund it, if you were to build it,
Taxpayer.
but however you fund it is, if you were to fund it and build it, that's where you would be. Good.
Taxpayer did pay.
What's that?
Taxpayer did pay for the funding.
Taxpayer paid.
We didn't.
We didn't how many furniture spots revenues, all new land and building.
All right, keep going.
Was there a question?
Nope, keep going.
So just to give you a general idea, and one of the challenges with this building, which is why the breakdown is kind of, you'll see there's a lot of different options, is because it's an old building, we don't have completely uniform spaces. So we're working with some flexibility. We wanted everything to be cohesive, customizable, but withstand the test of time and also fit in these, some of them, odd and awkward spaces that could be reconfigurable and built to last. So basically every executive office has a U-shaped desk. All of them are height adjustable for ergonomics. They have these monitor mounts. So there is more than just furniture coming on this list. There is technology-based things, wire management, things like that, storage, tack boards, tactile surfaces, there's whiteboards, there's drafting desks. I should be able to conjure up that word for the architectural plan, things like that in the planning department. So you can just kind of see a general office for a supervisor. And we did kind of put as many offices as we possibly could in this box. And for that reason, they don't have a ton of storage rooms. So we're trying to provide as much storage within each individual office, possible storage, things like that, replacing all these sort of hodgepodge file cabinets and things like that they've acquired over the years.
So how many offices are for staff that we do have?
How many offices? I think we have one.
Deputy town administrator right now. So how many of?
Well, that's actually an incorrect title. That is the assistant town administrator's office. That title is incorrect. But
No,
I'm sorry, associate. Yeah, Kate.
Yeah, it's special project.
That's a special. But there's
Oh,
also
I'm
a
sorry.
building maintenance person in here somewhere. We don't have one of those.
We do.
We do, Jesse, yeah. Yeah, and he has an office now. So to answer your question, honestly, I know where you're going. There's one flex office. There's exactly one, which is,
for storage.
well, it can be, but I think the idea is to allow for growth and flexibility since we know we're not going to be renovating this building probably ever again in our lifetime. If they are able to hire another person, or if you have an itinerant worker that kind of comes in, there is a space.
Or if you have somebody coming in, like we work with outside engineers, we work with outside consultants, auditors. There are plenty of like folks that come in that would use these types of areas, aiding in the workflow.
Right. And I'm happy to show you the plans, and I think we could do that offline. I think for privacy, we didn't want to identify
Well, they're all
every
up
single person. I know, and that was kind of.
Somebody
How many executive offices do we have?
Administrative was the word. Administrative.
I'm sorry. I'm using the term executive in the furniture world because it's like.
How many?
We have 14 administrators.
15? 14. Wow.
Administrative offices. Yeah.
14.
Well, we have 80 employees.
And keep in mind, planning and zoning is coming into the building.
I understand that, but 14 are those offices larger than, I mean,
All offices, pretty much all the offices
They're all
will be smaller.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
actually.
you're gonna
smaller
be-
than what they have.
so planning and zoning comes over, are all three of those employees going to be
We have
in
4.
one office?
We have 4.
No, it can
We
be.
have 4.
In planning, we have 4 personnel.
When do we get 4?
We've had them for over a year.
Well, we three at work. Are they all going to be in the same office? How many?
There are 3 individual planning offices, and then there's sort of like where an administrative assistant would sit at in
Almost like our staring.
yeah, almost like
Kind of like the way that it's
kind of how it's set up now. Yeah.
So are they getting different desks and stuff than like Sarah would get in the mayor's office?
They do.
Or does everybody get the same thing?
They're getting cohesive desks so that things are sort of,
interchangeable. So if you move a
Uniform.
staff member from one spot to another, it's not a whole different system.
but you'll see, and there is slides. These are not every individual office. This is a typical office layout, so there are names on there, and I apologize, but you can see it's sort of based on the shape of the office, how they had to reconfigure things. But I can get to planning as a more specific. So this would be like a planning office. So they might have more room for to lay out plans. Like for instance, in my office, I need more table surface to lay large format plans out.
Yeah, but they would definitely need a.
Right, and so they have on here at some point.
I think there's the copy too.
Well,
Why don't we let Miss Danielle go through her presentation, and then we can get to that portion of the meeting agenda.
So generally what you'll see is everybody has a height adjustable desk, everyone has storage, everyone has these sideboards for more additional storage. We're just trying to package them, and these are not enormous offices by any means. Just trying to make them as efficient as possible. And all of that, comes with the wire management, the grommets, that thing in the front is what's called the modest panel, the under the desk.
And the desks, like Danielle said originally, I think it might have hit everybody. They are height adjustable. So the desk can be something that you sit at versus something that you stand. Instead of us, the way that we had it previously, you would take like an old desk and you would put like a standing desk on top of it. It is more cost effective to take this route.
Again, just that would be like that flex office. We're just putting a desk and a bookcase for storage in there. And some of the mayor's office has a side table like he has now, and a couple of mayor's office.
Well, the stuff that was already in your office was junked up. You have to
Miss Carroll, when I started, I bought my own furniture. The only thing that's there is an executive desk and a desk that goes behind that. But when I started, I bought my own furniture. I also paid, hold on. I also paid to install lighting at Town Hall for myself and the mayor's assistant, which was not Sarah at the time. And I also paid to paint and drywall Town Hall. And am I going to pay for this? No, I'm not going to pay for this. But this is Miss Carroll. If when they went to move the mayor's desk, the top falls off. The desk has seen its time.
Again, conference room tables, not, nothing crazy, just designed to fit the space.
What is the current status of the conference room tables that existed in the old council chamber?
We have two. Two of them are large and will not fit in either of the conference rooms. And you go back one. One of them is a circular conference room, the table that's not going to be that big. And then the other one is going to be a conference room that is much smaller than what we are all used to working in. And that table will not fit in that conference room that's being built out.
Are they together?
No, disassembled.
The chairs, again, we kind of went mid-range, but these chairs do have a 24/7 warranty for 15 years. That's the other thing that with this company, they come and install, they assemble everything. They have an ergonomist, I think is what they said, that'll help everybody adjust their chairs, get them to, the way they should be. But again, trying to keep things cohesive so there is not different, a hodgepodge of different chairs.
So hold on, can we hold here for a second?
Yes.
Because I don't think a lot of people understand what a 15-year, 24/7 warranty on a chair means, right? A typical office chair, if you go buy it, the warranty might say if you use it for 8 hours, that is what we will warranty it for. If you work more than 8 hours in this chair, it voids the warranty. So areas like where we have like dispatchers working multiple shifts in the same chair, or if folks are working longer than an 8-hour day, it would void the warranty. This allows for the warranty. The chair, you can hypothetically sit in it every day of every hour for 15 years, and it would still be warranted.
Well, and I think there's probably a replacement value, and Natalie could probably speak to this, a budget for replacement furniture every year for Town Hall that now will be freed up because of these warranties. And just kind of conference room seating. And we're still working a little bit on materials and making sure that they're wipeable and all those things. I think the only change we were going to make is the council chamber seating, which I didn't realize we do not have arms on the picture. Right. And maybe you want to speak to that a little bit.
Right. So we added in, since the cost of the furniture came in much less than what we had originally anticipated, and with our work to try and bring that number down, we put in, if we'll go back to it in a moment, that we replaced the 45 chairs in the council chambers. If you recall, the chairs in the council chambers have the arms on them. It's not uncommon for folks to be able to maybe not sit in those chairs if they, because the arms are restrictive. So like the chairs that we have in here, they're going to be chairs without arms. The chairs that we have at that were at Town Hall that are in storage are fabric. They're very difficult to clean. These would be wipeable surfaces and something that are much easier for us to keep clean.
How many of those do we have put in storage?
We have all of the ones that were in good condition. So,
and I think we ought to use what we got and not bind it.
Can we answer the question?
About 30 to 40 chairs.
Yeah, like 30 to 40 chairs. The recommendation would be to acquire 45 new chairs.
It's a waste if we've got chairs before. So that's Danielle, I'm sorry.
Okay. Lectern, just the podium. There's another crack in that. A couple of planning officers. again, it's just a little bit about the company. I think this is available for anybody who wants to read it. So they, what they do is, this company, they develop these specifications. They sought out this competitive pricing, this short-sell pricing, and then they will receive it all. They will inspect it. They will assemble everything. They'll install it, and then they'll, follow up with any warranty issue. Then warranty information here at the end. If you want to go back to that first.
But yeah, if you go back to the price. And then while we do that, why don't we open it up to any public comment regarding motion 2026-41, the approval of town hall renovation furniture. Yes, Ms. Carroll, just name and street name, please.
See, I'm Yarn, on Carroll Road, Tina Drive. When the council voted at the meeting regarding the furniture, part of the vote was that they would receive an itemized how many desks and how much they were. I know that wasn't in the packet. Has that been done?
Yes, the quantity of the desks, like breaking it down by category of furniture, has been provided to the council.
Okay, well, it should be provided to us. Can we, is he looking at me?
There may be an extra printed copy that go around.
Do we have one around here?
Yeah, we received it today, this afternoon.
Why don't we see if anybody else would like to comment while you take a look at that? Yeah, just name and street name.
Sorry again, Mary DeBucky, Westminster. How much do those 15-year warranty chairs cost, like per chair?
$400. On the average. 400 per chair on the average for all.
So that's all. Yeah. Which I think if you go like a mid-range, and I don't want to interrupt your thought, but if you look at a mid-range office chair for somebody who is sitting in an office, that's probably what you're going to find. I mean, you can certainly find a $100 chair that'll probably break, and you can find a $2,000 chair, that's why we tried to go middle of the road. And I will tell you, just to add on to what Mayor Zach said, when we started and we sat in some chairs and we looked at some, the staff was very adamant, like, we don't want $1,200 chairs. We don't need that. We want something that's going to last. I mean, Natalie has told me some stories about replacing chairs and how often they have to replace them and they break. So I think that's.
I didn't make it tonight, but your work is.
Oh, no. I don't think any of it personally. I don't. And I didn't want to come off defensive. I just wanted to share that information. Because I do think the staff was very reasonable in their, requests.
And I would rather us do something else. Honestly, $252,000. We're saving $50,000. It's just, we don't spend money wisely. And I think it's time that we really start taking a step back and looking at how this money is being spent, because, and this furniture, honestly, I think it does. I think it's awful. It does not enhance the historic nature of this building at all. It doesn't even come close. But I just think we've got a real spending problem, and I would just like to see us take a step back and, how many other bids do we have? Do we have from other places? Do we have
So the nice part about the bidding, right? You'll see us do this with like pieces of machinery and anything that we can, really.
Yeah.
We don't go to bid on these because when we participate in the contract, right, with like Sourcewell or Omnia, they have done that work for us, right? They go through for anybody that's part of that, like especially government entities, and they do competitive bidding, and they will send out an RFP. They do that work for us, which is why you're seeing a savings of half on if you were to go buy that on the open market.
Yeah, but who would, and honestly, who would want to buy that? It's a historic building. And
Yes, but you're hiring a workforce, but you're hiring a workforce that is not going to work at a nursing home or a funeral home, right? We are going to get folks. Well, hold on. But we're trying to attract a millennial workforce to be able to work. They want a standing desk. They want to be able to work in a space that is open and bright. We have respected the historic nature of the building while also trying to make sure it has the things that we need for the modern workforce, as well as for recruitment and retention.
Where is the lobby from them? Why do we need 3 tables? And where's the lobby? I understand.
So I think these are like the customer service area where there's the chairs.
No. We don't need, nobody needs to sit in and sit either alike.
But that's also a place where people wait if you're going to go have a meeting with planning, or if you're having a meeting with somebody else. It is a place where people will sit for a moment while they may wait for somebody to come.
That take a couple of those day-long chairs with the arms on them, for it and sit there. You do not need to buy $350 table for somebody to wait to go to a meeting. It's ridiculous. We don't need that. We don't need that. And people can't get in city halls and do anything to begin with. Everything's blocked up.
So, Mary, you had said something. You had said something about the financial management. I do want to say that this council and mayor's office have been very good stewards of the taxpayer funds. In 2020, there was a $16,000, maybe $17,000 unrestricted fund balance, right, or unassigned fund balance. Today, that is multiples of where it needs to be because it aligns with the best practices of good financial management. So I would say that even when our auditors come, they say the town is in its best financial position that it's been in decades. And that's the work of our entire team, staff, and the mayor and council.
I'm sorry, Carol.
No.
Putting it financially on paper to make it look good is one thing, but how the money is spent is totally different. It's totally different. Like I can take 2 and 2 and I can make it balance on a piece of paper. It doesn't mean that $2 should have been spent over here and the other one should have spent over there. So while I sat through a main meeting and I do appreciate everything that's been done, and I've seen you guys struggle with stuff. I've seen it go back and forth and everything like that. But there comes a time where when you really start looking at some of this stuff, there's a lot of money being spent that shouldn't be spent, and it's being spent in the wrong places. And then you've got where we're always looking out, I hear in these meetings, we're looking out for the staff, and which I appreciate. I appreciate everything the staff does. But what about the residents? We're the ones who are still sitting here dealing with these ridiculous issues. West Street looks like a war zone, looks like something blew up on it. And, and then we're sitting here bouncing around $253,000 for furniture that we had furniture that we could have used. And, we sold it at the yard sale and, and after that and stuff like that.
Well, the furniture that was sold at the yard sale was furniture that was in really, really rough shape. Don't we have a couple pictures of that?
I do. I took them off Facebook and I shared them this morning.
So we've got some really rough furniture.
Well, and I'm not saying that it all didn't need to be, that some of it didn't need to be replaced, but at some point we have got to take a step back and say, look, we can't spend money like Ocean City and Worcester County. We don't have that operating budget, but that's what we're doing. And we just, as I said though, I would rather see the building get finished and then go into it and say, okay, wait a minute, maybe we could put this table here. Or no, we do need to put a standing desk or whatever here. But we're sitting here and talking about spending $253,000 you know, and I'm assuming that someone spaced it out or whatever it was.
Absolutely, it's all laid out
Yeah.
on the plan.
But we could have spaced out using the old stuff too, but we didn't.
But we had furniture, and Laura's gonna put it up, but we had furniture that was falling to pieces.
Oh, yeah.
We had furniture that was like really old and would not even be able to make the move. We had furniture that is either abnormally large and will not fit in those spaces, or that where we're shrinking down areas for other space to be able to accommodate offices, because we had staff members working in closets, that, keep in mind, the exterior footprint of town hall has not gotten any bigger. We are cramming more and more in a tight space. So we have to do that as efficiently as possible. Like, I mean, look at that. That's rough.
But those weren't the pictures that were posted on Facebook on April 6th. That one, there was nothing wrong with that one. Absolutely nothing wrong.
Oh, very good.
Well,
Actually, like
The
contractor is using it.
So what are you, what is your desk?
Stop rolling my phone.
What is your desk now, Mary?
Okay, mine is Ivy's old desk.
But if somebody
A lot of the desks,
What are you?
when a lot of desks were moved, they actually used 2x4s and stuff to reattach them. They're not made to be assembled. Reassembled, brought down steps, walked over to the office center, reassembled, and
Yeah, but that's
You know.
been taken into consideration before the renovation.
But how do you do that, Larry? Like, we hear you, but how do you do that?
Well,
The desk and stuff has to be moved out for construction.
yeah, but the thing is, okay, how do we do that? Again, Danielle's got nothing to do with
This very, I know.
You know, we didn't need to spend $3.3 million. We were originally spending, what, $2.1 million? And then a couple of months, in the fall or whatever, we needed an additional 1.1 or $1.2 million, which was there right away.
You had failures in the mechanical system.
We could have used that money. We could have done something to enhance the project that Stephen's working with. Instead of saying just doing this, let's go ahead and put this money in to go ahead and, or something, to.
We have so many, as a municipality, we have so many things that we have to do simultaneously.
Oh, I agree.
So what I think is important, you ask about how the numbers maybe grew. I'm not speaking exactly to the figures that you've used, but we had a complete failure in the mechanical systems at Town Hall. If you recall, there was a luge of water going down Bay Street that was having to be salted by town crews because it was in the winter, creating trip hazards and things of that nature, because the well was completely messed up.
And that would need to be replaced.
But Mary, what you're saying is it's like basically like walking around with duct tape, and it costs so much money over time.
But that's what we're doing with the Abbey Pond. That's exactly what we're doing with the Abbey Pond.
We're focused right now on the furniture at Town Hall. Let's focus on that.
I think we need
Ivy,
to.
Miss Ivy.
There is no way that we need three lobby tables at $350 piece for somebody to, if they're gonna sit to go to an office, what the hell they need a table for? Can't take the chairs for planning and zoning that everybody's been sitting in for 100 years when they wait to make their appointment. Bring those over, put them in the lobby, and there we go. What do we need tables in a lobby?
What do we need desks for and all?
What do we need? What do we need? Three tables. How big is the lobby?
It's just real quick, and I'm gonna kind of call on our attorney Dave Gaskell, but there's something, it's not specific, called ergonomic law and OSHA standards, and the desks that we've all had do not match any of those standards. There's certain ergonomics. You have to have a desk at a certain height with your elbows at a certain level. There has to be non-glare desks for eye strain. I mean, there's a lot of different rules and regulations that, I mean, I remember going into Mary's office when she was there, and she had to turn like this to do her typing. And I remember saying to her that you're going to kill your back if you do that. But the way that the desk is positioned, there wasn't enough room to have a monitor and a keyboard. So she had to do it this way. And there are a lot of the other employees.
I'm going to chiropractor.
Right, the employees working towards that, so I don't wanna get, and I understand where everybody's coming from, but I don't wanna get caught up in the talking about the look of it and the necessity of it when you're talking about somebody's health in the workplace. I just wanted to say that.
Well, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about stuff that's ridiculous. What do we need a lectern for? Did we ever have one before?
Yes, we've always had one.
Well, then where's the one we had?
It's probably large anymore. It's not the parts. The finish is chipped and cracked and it's falling apart.
Well, I think we could probably find one, but only 8 months. Oh, that's okay. What do you
Miss Carol, can you finish your thought so that we can ask if anybody else has any comment?
Well, certainly on everybody, you're ready, please.
Yeah, that's where I'd like to go next. So anyone else from the public that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2026-41, and then we're going to go to the council. Go ahead, Ms. Burke.
The one thing that I do want to mention, and you know what I'm going to say, you say $50,000 that you didn't put towards party video.
Well, actually, we had the crews out to take a look at that, and that would be coming up next. We had to get a couple things evaluated, but we're hoping with some of that savings that it can be channeled toward improvements of audio visual for the participants.
So you are putting it in.
No, we are going to bring that before the mayor and council for evaluation once we have all the information.
You need it. I
don't disagree with you, Ms. Murray.
invest in hearing aids that do not help. I still can't hear Jack, and I still can't hear your speaker. And it's ridiculous. You're supposed to be for a public meeting.
We agree with you.
Even with this, you show it on the Facebook feed. Nobody can see what's going on. You just refer to it. And I just think if you're spending this much money to redo something, that should be a priority.
This is the time to make that investment. We agree. But we'll be bringing that to the group once we have a better understanding of where the construction is as far as its projections and timeline, as well as what we would need to be able to make that happen. So let's move on to comments from the council regarding motion 2026-41, and then hopefully we can approve something.
Yeah, on the AV, I mean, Marie, we hear you on that. It's just a matter of the Cadillac with the Mustang with the Pinto, and it's the seating specifically. So I know we have 45 seats for the council chambers,
Right.
and then so the rest of those would be the
Desk chairs, guest chairs, like if conference room table chairs. So they're all lumped together in that.
okay. So
There.
the best chairs are way over 400.
But if you look up here, like your council chamber seating
Right.
is
They're about 200 even when I did the math for the council chamber seating, yes.
Yeah, so when we moved this forward at $300,000, I thought the consensus of the council was we weren't going to spend anywhere. We were going to spend $300,000, period. So like 252, that's nice, but I had never ever was going to vote for $300,000 for furniture. So happy to see it 252. We'll see what the consensus of the group is. I'd like to see it reduced further. So also a question for you, because this is from a constituent. We're being accused of sole sourcing. But I know in your contract here, you all handled the bidding. So how many bidders were vetted at these prices?
So this is the
this is Sourcewell pricing. So it's similar, like, I mean, I have my experience from the school system. Like when you buy a vehicle, police vehicle, it's probably bought on a contract that's already been, like Baltimore City has done the bidding. They put out all these products. They got all these prices. They got the best price. We are able to piggyback. It's piggybacking. So that's what we're doing.
Somebody Googles the chair and it says $699. We're getting it at what? Roughly.
I mean, you're looking at, I mean, it's like 50% the pricing from a retail.
Well, yeah,
That
It's
would
not
be the
appropriate.
retail
Yeah,
price
but like,
versus.
if you look at this,
Yeah,
you're
that's what
basically
that's showing
getting,
you, yeah.
if you were to buy that same furniture package
Right.
for an office, for your business,
Yeah.
or for your home, or any of that, you would be paying at least double the price.
Yeah, we're getting the buying power too, you know?
So I come at I sit in a $95 chair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
then I more than 8 hours.
Yeah, but I sit in a much more, like, I
I'm
hear
just saying
you.
that where I approach things, I don't. So when I look at 400, let's say it's 400, I find it to be very expensive for a chair, personally. I wouldn't pay it, so I don't really expect the taxpayers to pay it. So that's kind of like where I'm approaching it from. I buy a $95 Staples chair. I have to buy it myself.
Yeah. I've been there.
I mean, that's the world I live in.
Yeah, how often
So
do you have to replace it though?
I haven't replaced it in 8, 9 years. So but I understand. We mouth our turn late to talk. So that's where I'm coming from. So I find it to be still too expensive. That's where I am with it. And the desks, $2,700. I find that.
So that is with everything. I mean, that's a height adjustable U shape, all the storage, all the bells and whistles with the monitor too.
I mean, that's not my style. Wouldn't want to work in that, but I see it's a beautiful environment for our employees. It's not my taste personally. That won't clog me. What will clog me is the price.
Can I ask though, like, when we meet with staff, right, and they talk about, because we look at this, right, from our vantage point and our lens, right? But what I would encourage is that maybe you look at it through the lens of some of the staff that work there, right? Because when we're looking at this, what the comments that come to Mary and myself and to Danielle and the construction team, there's not enough storage. Where am I going to put my files? Where am I going to be able to put this? I have this type of work. This may work for me, but it's not going to be like 100%, but it's way better than what I have. So I hear what you're saying, but I would encourage you and the rest of the body to really understand the work that takes place in each one of these offices, because in many respects, we're not doing what we should be all the way. The staff have been cognizant of the budget. They've peeled back where they can. You say it's too expensive. I agree. $252,000 is a lot of money on furniture, right? I agree wholeheartedly. But if you were to go buy it on your own, you would spend more. We are able to spend at a group rate and a government rate to be able to acquire this. We have a duty, as some of our staff have already outlined, to be able to, our job is to furnish equipment for our team to be able to do their job, right? When Jimmy comes here and needs a tractor, our job is to be able to supply the funding to get the tractor. When we have a group of folks that say, hey, look, I need an office suite to be able to carry out my service to the community, I would argue that that is money well spent.
I would argue I'd like to see some of that cut down and to get public works campus built. That's the kind of things that I look at.
But
It's not,
public
I'm
works
looking
is
at it in
going
a
to cost,
vacuum.
if you have, I'm not looking at this as a vacuum, but if you think that we're going to build a public works admin suite for any less than we're going to build an admin suite for town hall, that is not true. I mean, it's going to be, look at the police department.
I hear you.
If you bring that pricing current.
There's a weight room in there too.
What's that?
There's a weight room in there too. I don't think it's apples to apples.
That did not include the weight room. That did not include the weight room because we got the weight rooms donated mostly. Am I correct? So it does not include a weight room.
Okay. Well, I've spoke my mind. You're not going to change my mind again. So that's all I can tell you. You know, we can keep. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, I'm gonna go on a little thing here, and I would appreciate no interruption until I'm done. And also, since I'm the only one I think up here that actually works for both local and state government, I do look at it in that kind of lens because I'm in a government office 3 days a week. That being said, I am intrigued, if you will, that this outfit here is from North Carolina, and it costs almost $30,000 for the delivery and installation. I also have a question. I'll just throw them all out. I also have a question on the art and design package, what that is. And also state and local governments in Maryland. Well, the state government is mandated to use Maryland Correctional Enterprises for furniture. that is available for local governments as well. So I'm wondering if there would be I'm wondering if it would behoove us to look into that, to lower this, because I'm in full agreement that I would like to see this lower, because I like the fact that we're now focusing on AV. We're taking this $47,000 savings and putting it to that. I actually was going to cut this more for you, because that was the intent that I had walking into this room. I would still like to see this lower. I would like to see this pencil sharpened better, to use that horrible cliche. But can you please answer those questions about the delivery, installation, art, and design, and had you looked into the Maryland Correctional Enterprises?
Can I start with Maryland Correctional? Have you bought anything from Maryland Correctional? You talked about your work in state and local government. Have you bought anything from Maryland Correctional?
Well, directly, I mean, I've put in requests.
Jack, I've bought tons of furniture from Maryland Correctional. You will get 3 different types of chair. You will get office tables that do not go together. They will delaminate the second they walk in. I have bought a lot of stuff from the correction. And the quality of the work, you will not get it. Now I'll let Danielle ask the rest of it, or answer the rest.
So, I mean,
Have you ever used Maryland Correctional Enterprise?
I also came from, a local government and sat in some, I had a Wayfair desk that fell apart the day it was delivered, and I understand. And that's why I completely empathize with these guys. And Steve, I sit in a $600 chair because I made the investment, because I sit in it all day. I go to the chiropractor. I've got spinal issues. I have all the things. So I do choose to sit in a more expensive chair, which I think is so important. And I just did invest in a height adjustable desk.
My office suite that I work from, I invest my own money. And I'm not sitting in a $100 chair.
Yeah. And again, so just Maryland, I can't speak specifically to Maryland Correctional Enterprises, and council member, I am totally open to going back to these guys and seeing, what are other options. We are taking sort of a seamless approach. Part of the savings was going to this sort of one-stop shop that has done all this due diligence. So we're not paying the designers to do all that.
And actually, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're
because
fine.
you answered my question, but I also wanted to take a trip down memory lane to February 9th, when we were here about the moving of the money and all that stuff. So I had asked for further explanation on what was included in the furniture cost, and Ms. Haley clarified that the projected cost was all-inclusive estimate. It was also expected to change from the furniture inventory at the end of the month. So 2 meetings ago, I had asked also about the inventory for furniture, and that was being worked on. So I understand, you all are day-to-day, you know what's going on. It's not that I don't trust you, but do we have an inventory list, and have we compared that to what has been requested?
We do have inventory, an understanding of the inventory that we have. We have the furniture that is in planning and zoning currently, if you go walk in there and look at it. I understand you've also been in the visitor center, you've seen that furniture. So the visitor center furniture, and then we have 30 to 40 fabric chairs that used to sit in the council chambers, and we have 2 conference tables that were department head level tables that are disassembled and in the public works shed. We saved the mayor's desk, but the top was falling off of it and some of the drawers were falling out, and off the hinges, but it's still there. I think that's it.
We have all the file cabinets.
Metal file cabinet.
That was pretty much, and we did do an inventory, and I went with our interior designer room by room, and we wrote down and we measured things. And the reality is most of those desks just were not going to work. They weren't going to make the move, or they've been repurposed somewhere else. But the file cabinets were probably the number one thing. We were like, okay, we can reuse this if we, need to outfit. But we do have storage closets and things that we're not buying, storage furniture for. That's where those file cabinets will go. So there is going to be some reusing of those things. But again, cohesive approach. I keep thinking, and I know we're in a Worcester County library, but I'm sitting in this room when this building was built. They bought all new tables and they bought all new chairs. And, it's part of when you're investing all this money in the space for us to bring visitors and townspeople into these meetings and have them sit on an old stained chair that, you know, maybe they can't fit into. I think that was one of the things we were like, all right, let's keep the council chairs. Mayor Zach said, what would it cost to get new council chambers chairs? And those are discussions we had. So I want to answer the question about the art because, well, so the delivery and installation, it's just that they receive everything at their facility. They will bring it here. They will literally assemble everything. So it's not Jimmy and Jesse putting things together. You know, they're here for, I think, a week at a time. They come, they do all the, you know, and these are power module. They install the monitors on the arms and all those things. So it's a labor intensive delivery and install. The art and design package, because I asked the same question. So we have, and I'm just going to read what she wrote. The art and design budget includes pricing for 61 pieces of art. The art ranges from large scale canvas reproductions, enlargements of historic Berlin photography. All pieces are framed. Locations receiving large scale images will be main lobby, conference room, chamber. Themes of large scale art are selected to represent Berlin. All historic photography will be scanned to allow for enlargement and reprinting. All new prints are framed, be installed mainly in individual offices. A gallery wall of past mayors will also be in the chamber with historic photos being scanned, enlarged, printed, and framed. Pricing also includes the custom city seal to be installed in the main entry. And that includes freight, storage, delivery, and installation. All pieces are being installed with security hardware to ensure safety of all art. So that's the things on the walls.
I mean, I don't want to pick here, but some of the suggestions, that would be a suggested area. You know, we have a pretty good art and entertainment district here.
Yeah.
And we have artists, and we have 2 museums that have pictures.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're actually taking the art that we salvage from, and Mayor Zach has it. They have it stored somewhere, and they're going to take it and mat it and frame it and get it prepared
Right.
to hang. So
what I'm
have.
saying is you just walk up to the Calgary Taylor House Museum and say, hey, I'd like to put this in town hall for a month. This picture.
Yeah, I did not hear a word you said.
So what I was saying was, I'm sorry.
Talking like this so fast.
What I said was there's no reason why no one could walk up to the Calvin B. Taylor House Museum and they could offer to put a historic picture in the town lobby for a month or 2. That's
true.
I
agree.
That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And then my one final question, and I'll be done with this. If we are going to use, if it goes through, and we use $50,000 for AV, does that mean
Not what the recommendation.
do you know what the recommendation is going to be?
No, but we don't know what that number is going to be yet.
Well, when it was presented to us in February, it was $126,000.
So that was the AV. I do want to speak to this a little bit, if I may. That was the AV alternate as presented by the lowest response presenter, Keller. What we've had in our biweekly owner progress meetings is discussions about what was put into the design and specifications, which was kind of like, I'll be totally frank, all the bells and whistles. I put it in there like, well, it'd be great if we had this and this and this. If we get this alternate, let's do all the things, the document camera, all the things that we use. We had an internal discussion and said, do we need everything that was in that alternate, or can we really focus on the needs, you know, the things that,
the speakers
like microphones, the speakers, the monitors, and whatever that, I don't know what that is, but the staff does. And you all do. So we are scheduling a meeting. I think we were literally emailing about it today, scheduling a meeting with the AV subcontractors to say, hey, let's have a meeting. Really, let's dial in those needs and then give us a price for what that would be, assuming it would be less than what
our goal is not like what the county has or like what some of the other municipalities have.
We have like what, 10 people, unfortunately.
Right. Yes.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that like, it's not going to be that, I think it was swag it.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of it's not going to be that, right? It's going to be something that the people in the audience can hear when we talk, that the camera might not have to be on a stand in the tripping hazard with extension cords. It might be in the ceiling, but it's not going to be a lavish.
It's not going to focus
build
on
out.
the speaker or
Right.
focus on the document.
It's not going to be that.
So we are trying, we all acknowledge that of all the instruments is the one that really we hope to accept in some way, shape, or form, but we're past that bid alternate phase anyways. So now it's just negotiating it as a change order.
Great.
Um,
Well,
so we're in a good position, I think.
awesome to hear.
Yeah.
I'm glad about that. Not happy about this price. I've said my piece. I'm done.
I mean, I agree with everybody. I'm not happy with the price either, but it's the price.
So, there's no question we need furniture, but I don't think we need premium furniture from Technion. And Technion is considered a premium furniture company for us. I think we could either go with a mid-range brand, look at other alternatives. There's also corporations that go out of business every day. And there's companies that sell off that furniture. You can find tons of them online. You could probably buy office furniture, very nice furniture, reconditioned at a fraction of its cost. So I think we need to really,
But with no warranty.
it may not have a warranty.
You know,
And like, who's gonna set it up? Who's gonna,
You know,
like, yeah, you've got a lot of,
I think we need to look at other options. This is not doable. It's just not.
Is there, can I ask this question? Is
Yeah.
there a budget that the council does feel, because we're kind of, again, we started with outfit every office. They're all going to be empty, on move-in day, with the exception of file cabinets and things we can bring over. And I know we can talk about a lobby table. I'm fine cutting a lobby table. It's not going to hurt my feelings. It's just, you have a nice new lobby. Is there going to be a table for brochures to sit on for somebody, when they come in? Again, maybe that's not that important. But I would like to know if there is because that way we can go back to these guys and say, what can we get for this?
Number, I mean, for me, it would have to be between 175 and 200, max 200.
how would you do
That's
that?
a good number.
Yeah, but I'm trying to unpack it. What you get Danielle?
Mid-range company. Technion is very expensive.
But so hold on. So you say between 150 to 200,000. You couldn't build 5 offices and some cubicles for that price, and we're going to outfit how many offices are in here?
24.
24
I mean,
offices.
24 workstations, desks, and offices.
I hear you, but and let's do it.
22, sorry.
Where do you go?
And I might-
We're not
24 workstations, offices, and workstations.
If we're gonna look for other alternates, and that's okay, I'm not saying no, but we are 6 months right now from being back in. So I'm just saying, right now, when we sit with Keller, they're saying mid-December. So I'm looking at, we could possibly be in January 1st or so. So I'm not saying no to anything. I'm just saying the time that we're getting is getting closer and closer every month that this is going to be done. The project is moving along very well. That's whatever that is, we're not, but it is moving fast. So I'm just saying whatever ideas that you guys have, and I'm not opposed to any of them, I'm just saying.
Time, you're right. Time is
It is-
important.
it
I mean,
is-
that was why we
you're
brought it
looking
to you
at some
today.
things that might take a
because of
little
lead
while to
times.
get to. And again, and I'm just gonna share, I don't have crews to assemble stuff. I still have trash duties each week. I still have recycling. I don't have any spare people to be assembling furniture that's bought and I'm not trying to knock, but the Public Works Department does not have, like I say this too, and Mary and we talk about, I don't have gardeners. I have grass cutters, okay? Same way here. I don't have guys that assemble furniture for a living, okay?
One thing for Jimmy's crew to come in and assemble a desk in an afternoon.
That's,
Like,
you know,
do a whole,
but
it's not
right.
gonna happen.
Before Dean goes, could you just give a quick update as to where the project is now? Are we in drywall? Are we?
So right now they are framing the upstairs in and they are running electric and stuff. Downstairs, the flooring and stuff is still being leveled.
Yeah, I
and,
mean, I can probably give you a
Um,
very thorough update. Not to cut Jimmy off
no, go
because
ahead.
he's there as well, but I mean, we have run into.
The
They've been
historic building.
handled, but we have run into issue after issue of it being a historic building. So thankfully, so far, none of them have been caused huge delays, but for that reason, they have framed the second floor. They haven't been able to frame the first floor. They find a slab under a slab. They find a footing they didn't know was there. So we're kind of, I keep saying we're not quite putting Humpty Dumpty back together again yet, but we're very close. And I'm happy to take you guys through at any time. I do want to schedule it with the contractor just for safety reasons. But it is, we ended up insulating the entire roof because there was zero insulation. There was about 100 birds' nests. I mean, I've got pictures. I'm happy to show you all these. There's structural failures. There's things that we're having to address because it's such an old building. It's good that we started to peel back the layers. But that being said, to answer your question, I'd say we're in framing, we're in rough in trades, rough in electric. It's insulated. We've roughed in some of HVAC starting.
Like I said, Daniel, you were talking about furnishing the library. I worked to do this library and we just don't pay for it. And we certainly did not buy it. We certainly did not buy stuff that would fall apart.
I agree. I was complimenting this. Yeah.
There's a middle of the road, night, that layout.
Yeah.
So, you
I'd be curious to see the furniture budget for, a library based on square footage. Just knowing same thing exercise you did with the police department. No offense to the police department, but those tables in the conference room were awful. We were told, Councilmember Nur, we were told this was mid-range, the furniture from Technion that they selected for us.
And our message to them kept being, we don't want high price, we want good quality, good warranty.
And so I'm happy to go back to them and say, what's the next step down? I mean, but get us that quality, get us, at least functionality, get us ergonomics, get us all those things that, they deserve. But I agree, but I would be curious because this is really nice furniture in here. That's what I'm sitting here looking at. But it's not hodgepodge. No. But I think this is who we've partnered with.
That's probably who Omnia has gotten the bid price.
Yeah.
We want somebody that's already handled that bidding process for us.
But also, investing in future, how many years we can buy cheaper furniture. This is right now, having it here, this piece right here, laminated, going off. This is not old. This is pretty much the chair has a roof already. So if you were thinking about going lower grade and then we have to move to replace in a desk or a piece of furniture and invest more, they have a great warranty. That's the only thing I stand for, the warranty.
Vice President Burrow.
We have in this room as many opinions as we have people. Because we all think different. And we all are products of different experiences in our life. No, I think some of the stuff may be expensive, too expensive. And looking at that number gives me pause. But this is my opinion. But it takes a sorry leader to not utilize the resources that they have around them. I do not have to be the smartest person in the room. I never have had to be the smartest person in the room. But I always had sense enough to utilize what I have around me. This young lady is a professional at what she does. She is representing the town of Berlin in this endeavor, which is all of us. I do believe that she has brought us, based on what we would like to see, her best, and she believes that this furniture will represent the town of Berlin well. Who am I to say? Who am I to say that this young lady has not done a good job? I believe she has. I believe she has given us what we need to last us well into the future. A 15-year warranty on an office chair. Yes, we are paying for it. and you have to pay, you have to pay. I wouldn't buy a $400 chair, but I would expect my employer to put me in a chair that I could work all day long in and not have to compromise my health. You know, I sat in a chair for 20 years, 25 years, and I had to get what is called an ALIF, an operation on my spine. You talk about do you know it has been cases won because folks had to sit all day long and did not have the ability to stand and work? This $250,000 gives me pause. But I think these people have represented us well. Our mayor, he is not a spendthrift kind of guy. And you can just keep your opinions to yourself.
Ask my wife and my children.
Now, this is my opinion. He is not a spendthrift kind of guy. And we may not always agree, but I do believe each of us wants the best thing possible for the town of Berlin. And this number gives me a pause. But if this young lady says this is what she recommends, this is what we need, I'm willing to hear her opinion because her opinion is more informed and more educated than mine. So I think you did good. Go ahead, Ms. Marie.
What's her opinion on the AED and how much we should spend?
She's been a champion for putting it in. And she's said, but hold on. She's been at the forefront of saying, hey, look, we put it in at this amount so we know what it would cost to do the bells and the whistle thing Steve said in Cadillac, right? Well, she's also been the one that says, hey, look, you can do it for less by doing this, this, and this, and getting your end result, which is better audio quality, the ability to be able to see, and be able to get a camera that's not in the middle that's a trip hazard.
Yes, but those are the minimum.
That is correct.
And you don't do that with the rest of the stuff. That's my point. If you can cut on the residents being able to witness this all the time, then cut the rest. Otherwise,
I'm not understanding.
No, what Miss Marie is trying to say, I think, is that if you're willing to
Except
cut
the
back,
minimum AV, why not accept the minimum in furniture?
Yes. Because the minimum, and that's a great, but that's a great comment. But the minimum in furniture, right? If we make a minimal investment in furniture today, that's great. We can make that number much less. But Natalie, what are we going to see year over year with our office furniture?
That's correct.
What exactly?
Left and right.
We can custom service chairs
So-
pretty much every 3 months because you
People
buy
have a hard
99
time.
level chair and breaks.
People have a hard time getting rid of clothes that look perfectly good, but they don't fit the same way anymore. This is shifted here, this is shifted here. And, you fold those pants in this coat and you go, oh my God, this is in such great shape. I just can't give it away. I gotta reuse it. But then it's hanging to the floor or you can't close it. It's very hard to spend new money on stuff you actually have, but it doesn't work anymore. We all buy new things and we all have a different value system. It's about value and priorities, and that's what Ms. Burrell is saying. But this, you cannot go with the minimum furniture. That is the worst thing you can do because you got people sitting there all day long working their ass off for us. And hello, Would you want to be, I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Keep going.
Keep going.
Just enough.
I never even said my name, Beverly Wright, Upshur Lane.
Hey, you keep going.
But, no, I don't want to belabor this. It's enough, it's enough. We can't just go to the floor of this thing. All I was gonna ask was if this Omnia thing, do they have, say, another company besides Techion that would have a different price plan? That's all they did.
Have a lower
Right,
price.
we still want to go with Omnia. And maybe there is another company, but are they going to offer a 15-year warranty? Are they going to offer the same quality? It is very hard to measure quality. You get what you pay for. We've all heard that. So when you try to, I don't want to use a derogatory word, but when you use a religious designation to get somebody to go lower in price, we all know that person. You should negotiate, down. And then the stuff falls apart I don't know. I'm just wailing here. But what I'm saying is, there could be another company that could give us slightly better prices. It's not going to be the same warranty, so you got to live with that. You got to see what's the trade-off. The money, the warranty, the value, the quality. We all make those decisions every day. I wouldn't spend $2,000 on a big TV, but some people do it because entertainment is important to them. I have a little TV. Okay. But I have a very good desk chair. That's all I can say.
Just one more observation. This is only my opinion. But in the morning, I'm going to be making a presentation to my director advocating for a third monitor because my argument is going to be a third monitor will make me more productive. And if we're doing anything, I would consider a third monitor.
Well, what we've tried to do for some finance team folks, you might need those things, but we also have the monitors that are tiltable when you're working on like an Excel file and things of that nature. But then the other thing that's important to note, you have mentioned like ergonomics. Ivy, you mentioned that as well. If you buy a plain desk for a staff member and then they come in with a note from their doctor that says you need a standing desk, guess what you're going to do? You're going to buy a standing desk. And you want to know how many times we have staff members come in and say, I need a standing desk? And guess how much you're going to spend? You bought one lately? Yeah, they are not cheap. When you try to retrofit an old desk, or not even old desk, it can be a brand new desk that doesn't stand. And then you're going to put a standing feature on there that holds your monitor and does all that stuff. You just doubled your cost, if not tripled it.
I'm going to get my third monitor.
I just went through this exercise because my desk, my chair is very expensive. My desk was a hand-me-down from a client who was going to trash it from Amazon. So priorities. But I just retrofitted it for my 3 monitors to be able to go up because it was killing me to, sit all day. So I want to say one more thing. I want to go on record by saying I do not want the bare minimum for AV. I want all the bells and whistles. My point was I want the exercise to be fruitful. I want it to be logical for the staff and the needs and not, what I've seen in Ocean City or another jurisdiction. So I don't want the bare minimum. I want what's, appropriate for town hall, for the needs, at hopefully a reduced cost. But I also, I don't want anybody to think that I'm compromising. I want fancy furniture and no AV because I certainly don't feel that way.
And that's why we're trying to meet with an 80%
Consultant.
They are the expert. They know. Danielle can't be
I don't
expected to know that. That's not-
And I'm not an expert in furniture either. I'm relying on these designers who are giving us this information, and we're asking the same questions that you all are asking. So
My chief concerns, quality, price, and is it going to work for the team? If we have a staff member go from this office to that office, is there a huge difference? If we move, if we have somebody that needs a standing desk versus not needing a standing desk, doesn't meet the fact that we don't have team members working in a closet, right? So that we can accommodate more offices in the building. I mean, those are the things that we're after. I'm not an expert. But that's why we look to professionals to be able to help us with that.
So do you think that, the feedback that you got from the council what kind of time frame would you need to get back to us with the new price? Or an additional quote?
I mean, I think I would want to be probably at the next meeting, at the next meeting, if that,
So then,
if that pleases the council.
if there's no more comments, I'll make that motion that we table, 2026-41 until the July, I guess that's the 27th meeting.
That's correct. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect the vote unanimous to table motion 2026-41. Is that okay with your schedule? To move the approval of town hall renovation furniture to our next meeting with an additional quote. Thank you. All right. Up next is agenda item 4C, motion 2026-42, RFP 2026-04 for Henry's Mill street paving, and our Director of Public Works, Jimmy Charles, is going to run one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We'll start with, in our 26 budget, we had 4 streets allocated, Branch, Flower, Schoolfield, and Washington. Came back because the infrastructure was not going to be completed, water lines, sewer lines, all that. So we identified some other areas, other streets that we were going to address. And then in the storm, Henry's Mill Street, it floated in a couple of sections. We got a price to do the whole street because there's not a lot of infrastructure there to do with water and storm. It's ready just to do a repave. But we also found that the street had a lot of rarities, that alligatoring and all that stuff, that there was something that we were seeing on that street that just wasn't right. So we had some bore testing done. And then when we did, we found that the ground underneath it's not solid. It's like walking on the beach near the water. So like as you step on it, it's always mushy, but it's a solid thing. And what's happened is to do the street correctly, it now really basically doubled in price. And we don't have that in our fund. So what I'm here today is to just say, let's fix the areas on Henry's Mill for now, and then use the rest of the allocating money to find a couple other streets within the town that we can pave using the 26 money that we're carrying. Just a quick brief. I'm open to any questions.
Jimmy, I have a question. So in the engineering report, it talks about the bore sampling, and it states that because of those bore samples, the road is not built to today's road standards. Did the road standards for Berlin change from when it was originally built, or was it never built correctly?
It's probably never built correctly. They found a local material that they used that at the time the Henry's Mill was built was probably suitable, but now we're finding that it's never getting solid, and it's created this, and that's why we probably now have a new standard of standards.
So when this is compacted and everything, do the engineers come back and retest it to make sure we built the standard? Or
well, anything we're doing from now on would always be up to standard.
Well, I know,
but we're just right now we're just going to come back and we're going to remove about 6 inches, put 2 inches like stone, and then 3.5 inches of 2 inch base, and then 1.5 top.
It'll buy us time, but the finding is that it's not a long-term solution. Right. It will reoccur again, but this will help us buy some time.
But we're also we're going more than the area too. We're really going to fix the area while we're there. And then there was there were 2 areas that actually buckled. But then we also had a couple little intersections where water meters, storm drain tube that we hit with plows. So while we're there, we picked out the 2 were on 107 and like 105. were the two areas that actually buckled up, and they're still there today, so. But then the other two are right at the end, they're each of Pender and Little
Little.
and then, but we wanted to just fix them because they're potholes, there's,
So Jimmy, why, this is my last question, why is this street a priority in this area, priority other than West Street? Which has major.
West Street again, that falls back into like Branch, Flower, and other streets. Understructure, underground materials that Jamie has to fix, water department has to fix first before I can come and pave. Because we might be going back, we don't want to pave now, and then in 27 or 28, we're tearing it up.
But, I really lost what I was gonna ask.
Let me ask, where's South Street, all this good?
We don't have, I would have to get with Jamie to really start to see if there's any infrastructure issues to start with that. But it's, we're open to some other streets depending on funding that's remaining.
We used to have, a street getting updated. We had this budget.
It is, yep.
Jimmy and I actually discussed that earlier today. It is in the process of being updated.
This our engineering firm, we expect to hear more. We have a meeting on this Wednesday. We'll ask again, but they were expected to get that to us like this in the next couple of months, from what I was understanding. Now, they did have some big projects too that kind of pushed them into, just like us, priorities sometimes get ahead of. But we are expecting a new street evaluation. And the last one I think was 2018, so we're about 10 years from that.
So if this RFP goes through for these 4 areas, what is the, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what is the outlook then for doing the whole road? So to that point of we don't want to do double duty, are we far along with the, I guess it's funding, for the whole road that we would be doing these sections and doing the whole road? Does that make sense?
Well, we won't go do other parts of the road were, say, in fair or good condition, but not to the point that they needed to be resurfaced like these certain areas that we're addressing. But to do the whole road, we'd almost should do where we're digging down the foot, because eventually, over time, we'll end up doing the whole road. But we don't have the funding to do the whole road together. We don't have another $471,000. Well, the road could last for years. It could last for. We don't know. We're watching or maintaining. There's portions of the road that the ground might be more solid, but it's still flexing. But it's not deteriorating the road. But where in this section, it actually buckled where you couldn't even drive your car over, and it was up 6-8 inches high. We got it cleared off, but when we dug down, we realized that the material was creating this issue. So, and you could repave the whole thing, and it could last 15, 20 years and do it again. But it's a risk that, right.
Let's open it up for public comment. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2026-42 or RFP 2026-04? Yes.
Since
Yep.
I'm the president of that HOA.
Thank you.
Debbie Ritz, Henry's Mill. I live between those 2 spots. And those 2 spots have always been a problem. I was the 6th house on that street. I was there the first summer anybody lived there. I have been there the entire time. That street has always washboarded, whatever. Those this year were the biggest, and you would have damaged your car, particularly the one that's just down from my house. The first one was not quite as bad. The second one was. The intersections are terrible. Kids have done headers on those, where the water pipe things are, and it's awful. But so my question is, we've been dealing with this. I would say that road has been, I've been there 27 years, since 99. I would say it's been in bad shape for 25 years. are we gonna continue to be in bad shape? I mean, is it gonna be in every year something's gonna be going on? Because it kind of sounds like it.
Again, we
It's a
went
chronic
through the
problem.
whole road. The two areas that were buckled, we identified them. Their areas, we might even went 15, 20 feet beyond them in each direction. We're gonna do.
Oh, I know
the
how
whole
big
street.
these patches are because people fly down and set.
And then the intersections too, where the water meters are, we're addressing every area that we see that are trouble on that street today. But again, if we have another winter, some areas could expose themselves, but then it could be solved for a while, or a couple years.
This is
5, 10
This
years.
is our best.
This is a pretty temporary fix at this time.
But yeah, but keep in mind too that like the way that the road was constructed is leading to some of these problems. And
Well, I understand.
but hold on. So we're not able to fix the entire roadway. If we had to do that, we would be taking the whole roadway down 16 inches and rebuilding it from the ground up. We don't have the funding to be able to do that. It would be a multiple of where we are. We have had examples in town where we have taken a similar approach with some findings and applied an overlay, and those roads are still great today. You would probably have no idea that an issue below the surface even exists, right, in the construction. So we're hoping for that same outcome on Henry's Mill Drive, but it's our best estimate. Whack-a-mole, like,
I mean, and, you know, some of the places that have opened up that you guys have come out and built. I mean, some of us have stood around and gone, is this simple? I mean, because it just keeps getting deeper and worse and deeper and worse. You come out and you throw some stuff on it, it's better for a year or so, and, you know.
We are trying to, right now you have a 2-inch street. We are trying to go back with a 3.5. So we are putting more asphalt material in these areas that we're going to be addressing. So we're hoping with a thicker base and then a top coat that we might lessen the, long-term effect.
Jimmy, the one thing, any other public comment? Yes, Ms. Murray.
Maybe long list. I just wondered when the streets were given to the town, since it was an HOA.
Well, the way that a development works is once it's constructed, it should be constructed in town standards, and then the roadways and the public right of ways are then turned over to the town. So it probably occurred. I wasn't here when it was constructed. I was in town, but I was not.
Long before the builders gave the HOA over. Long before I was there, so I would say.
Prior to 98, then.
Yeah, prior to 98. And there, at that point, I mean, there had to have been, we were the 6th house, but most of them were occupied within months after, you know.
Is it because it's single family that they could do that? I'm just wondering because my daughter lives in Dickion Farms and she lives in a townhome. And supposedly the town won't do anything with their roof.
That would be probably because they were not built to town standards, so the town will not accept them.
Yes, this road.
I can't explain why the town would have accepted that.
Present day, we would.
Standards that were applied years ago are not necessarily the standards that are.
Present day, we would not accept that.
Ms. Marie, the way this works is that the town's engineer, DBF, would have went and inspected these streets and certified that they were built to town standards.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I can tell you, I have been witnessing
They're
towns
supposed to.
taking on streets that were not built to town standards because of pressure.
Well, they're supposed to look at it.
I understand that.
I wasn't here.
And nobody.
So, but hold on, I think we're all going adrift. It's 9 p.m. I think we addressed your
I want to
question.
be sure that I ask questions that my homeowners are going to be knocking on my door.
Thank you, Ms. Marie. I think we addressed your question. Any other questions from the public? Comment? Okay, let's open it up. Jimmy, we'll go to the mayor and council this time. Can we add in the specifications under the scope of services that whoever bids provides a additional cost per linear foot if we want to add other paving, and that they give us a good through duration, whether that's like 60, 90 days. We've had that on some other contracts and it's worked out well.
We can add that into the
Thank you. Anything else from the council? Okay, so I have a motion by Councilmember Orris, second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect the motion 2026-42, RFP 2026-04, Henry Mill Street paving passes unanimously with Councilmember Nichols absent. Thank you all. Up next is agenda item 4D, and that's motion 2026-43, the CAD RMS MCT system replacement, and Chief Howard Grover is going to run the point.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The 4D is an opportunity to modernize critical public safety infrastructure with the police department while also leveraging the existing regional system. Currently, we are using a system called Cody. It's a bit dated. I'm not going to say it's the oldest thing, but it's not too far from typewriter, if you will. The system that we are looking into is a system called Central Square, currently being used by Worcester County, Ocean Pines, and Ocean City with limited access, with ourselves just for viewing, and Pocomo just for viewing. The difference in the two systems right now, so that everybody understands what CAD, RMS, and MCT is. CAD is a computer-aided dispatching. Typically, when you call 911, it starts right there with the operator as far as loading information pertinent for the call. RMS is the report management system. That's what we type all of our incident reports and arrests into. Currently, our CAD does not effectively communicate with RMS. So we're redoing a report after the information has been entered. And it specifically does not do that for the 911 center. Without going into too much detail, because we do not receive 911 calls, and we don't meet Maryland standards to dispatch those same calls, what happens is they forward the information to us so we can have our officers respond, and we can only view that. With this access, we'd be able to actually work within the same system, which is set up with Worcester County, Ocean City, and Ocean Pines currently working full system. Additional to that is the MCT, which is mobile computer terminal. So everything that's brought up on the CAD system, everything that's brought into the RMS system now is at the touch with the officers themselves. Essentially, they have an entire RMS and CAD system inside the car. We do not have an effective MCT system at all right now in our vehicles. During the first 65 days, I told you that I'd be doing a lot of review on things. What I will tell you is, if we were to purchase this as a standalone system, we would be looking at $500,000 to $750,000 to buy our own system to do such. For an agency this size and a town this small, I do not recognize that we spend that kind of money. Initially, when I sat down with Central Square individuals, they gave me a price of $99,816 as a startup fee with a annual subscription of $21,550. Again, I wasn't comfortable with that price. We took it back to them. With cooperation of Worcester County Sheriff's Department, who's going to aid in the instruction of how to use the system, they brought that down to $50,563 for a startup, and then an annual subscription is still at $21,550. Just so you do understand the significance of going to a system like this. Right now, all of our data that we have comes from only what Berlin has done, only the people that we have come in contact with. This system, like I told you a second ago, it's not the oldest system, but it's just shy of typewriter. Well, this is a digital system. So we've gone well beyond and going into the future now of a system that can share JPEG imagery and videos. But on top of that, it can share data that's captured by Ocean City, Ocean Pines, and by Worcester County. And that's invaluable data that we cannot get on our own. And that's invaluable data in law enforcement that I can tell you is very, very key in us handling our day-to-day activities, but also our investigation. And I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you have for you at this time. One last thing I will say,
Somebody better get up and do jump jacks.
That's fine, yeah.
Um,
I'm down.
what I am doing simultaneously, I've expressed to the mayor is, there is currently a grant out, that we are going to be putting in for bid. It's the BJAG grant, also known as the Burn, Justice, Assistance, grant. So I'm also looking at that at the same time. Hopefully that will help us deflect the costs. But regardless, we really need to take a look at this new CAD RMS system.
Hold on, if I may first. Thank you, Howard, for doing the due diligence on the pricing and getting it down to something that is truly achievable for Berlin. And just to reiterate, the plan would be to apply for grant funding. The timetable on that, we should know by toward the latter part of this year whether or not that grant application is successful. If it is, great. If not, this is still a much needed piece of equipment that we still need to find the funding for to be able to get. It does have drastic service implications as well as overall officer safety components to it. So either way, this is a must-have piece of software. But thank you for doing the diligence. Go ahead, Vice President.
Tell me, you talked about sharing information. Can you share with us what type of information and how that would impact on public safety?
So anytime law enforcement comes into contact with anybody, whether it's a suspect, a victim, a witness, anything, typically we collect data. And that data is housed in very, very secure network systems. That's what the purpose of CAD and RMS is. That information now, somebody that was stopped in Ocean City 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would have access to that information at the drop of a hat, at the push of a button, if you would, rather than coming back, making some phone calls, asking some people to do us some favors or run through their systems, hours after we were on the incident. So take this in consideration. If we had a subject that we were out with that somebody called in and said that they were suspicious in their neighborhood. Currently, once we run their information through the National Crime Information Center, if they don't come back with any warrants, we can come back and we can kind of start calling other agencies to find out, have you ever had contact with this person? Well, what happens when we find out that that person is a suspect for a rape in the town of Ocean City? And even better than that, this system also has what's called CAD to CAD. So I told you this would work. You could work directly with these agencies and pull that information up at the drop of a button or the touch of a button, if you would, of something that happens to Ocean City. But the CAD to CAD system, what that also does is anybody who uses Census Square through a request that we could send through our database. Now this will take a little bit longer, but we could get that information from them saying, yes, we actually had contact with that person, either as a victim, a suspect, a witness, or even somebody that's a suspect to a current crime. As an example, East McKinney, Wicomico County, Anne Arundel County also use Central Square. For us to find out if this person had any contact with somebody as far away as Anne Arundel County, and we would be able to do that inside of hours versus at that point weeks. It's an investigative tool that it just can't be that far.
But then Howard also, let's say that somebody calls 911 and they're talking to Worcester Central and they give certain information to that call taker. And then Worcester sends you all out on the call, but then they gain new information. And let's say that the dispatcher is doing something else and doesn't realize that that has then been updated. There could be a miss of information. Sometimes, you all can use your imaginations. You don't always deal with the most friendly people. So imagine that instance taking place where somebody knew the information, but because of a software piece of equipment, that our officers couldn't have that same information on the front line.
Absolutely. And what I would sit back and say on this, we have a read-only screen, and picture it as this. Man, they really want to.
They do want to.
You don't have to go home, but you gotta stay here.
Almost like we have a screen that is like a TV, and they project it, and that's all you get to see is their snapshot. And we've had on multiple occasions where 911 Central, and God bless these people, they are very, very busy, but they put down the wrong data. Our officers get very frustrated because our dispatchers can't work within that CAD system to verify data and information. And then what we find out afterwards, so then we have this internal frustration between our dispatchers and our officers because things can't be verified. When come to find out it's a third party that entered that information, which we would be able to very quickly because we're working within the CAD system at that time to verify the data that has come in. And just again, look, Berlin's a great town, and the police department is a great, great police department. But coming from a bigger agency, I will tell you, when you're working on the street and you have a vast terabyte system of data, officers have a tendency to start going through the data to see what they are up against, what they have. And there have been times that we have had all kinds of officer warning signals that get pushed out over the CAD system because the officer had access to that CAD system to be able to search through. Currently, we don't have that availability with the current 911 system.
With our current.
Correct, with our current system.
Chief, what's the training time required to get your officers up to speed on the system?
I'd have to speak with Lieutenant Larimore. We're looking at probably a solid week per officer to go through the training, as well as a solid week for dispatchers to go through the training. I would sit back and say not more than a month. And they're willing to work with us. So the more I can bring in and kind of bring off the street to sit down in the classroom, it'll work much faster. He said he's more than willing to bring them to our training center, to work with us on these things.
In some instances, we hire officers that are used to using CAD and then they go back to the Stone Age with us. So some of them may be able to pick up on it a little quicker than others.
Is this a system you used in Salisbury?
No, we used so we had a typewriter system. Salisbury was more in an analog system. We were with a company out of Texas called CIS. Not a terrible system. We had terabytes of data with that system, so it was a little bit harder. I can tell you, we put in a few years ago, Steve Dickerson, who's the information services director for Salisbury, put in put out a spec sheet for quotes on a system to replace the one in Salisbury. Central Square did come back for us. The cheapest system was $1.2 million. So $50,000 is a drop in the bucket.
We'll take that.
Is that the budget?
No, it is not. Vice
Do you
President,
have a common radio network now, common radio channel with these other jurisdictions already?
Yes, we do. So this is different than the radio channels itself.
Right, but it's the next step up. If you have a common, especially if you have a common radio channel, and now you're crossing county lines and you can't even talk to the next county's police officers. This is really
our radio do tie in with the Worcester County system. But the challenge is that even our electronics systems that are in the cars, they have a way of somewhat connecting to the county, but not great.
This is just
Exactly.
totally connecting now everybody to everything.
It's going to be like going from a black and white television to
I'll see how you
4K.
operate without connecting up.
And
we need him to negotiate furniture prices.
I agree. Hey, I agree.
I'm not good.
Now, Vice President Burrell asked a good question. Is this a budgeted expenditure? No, this is not a budgeted expenditure. What I said to Howard was go through the grant process. If you can't get that grant, we don't want to linger on something that would cost us $500,000 to $750,000 because we need to find $50,000.
The quote is good for 6 months, so we have a little bit of leeway on that. the DJAG grant is, expires July 31st. I currently have our grant writer, looking into that, and she already got the information that we need. I'm hoping DJAG has always been very, police friendly. So I'm hoping that in turn, we should at least, even if it's match funds, but $50,000 is not a huge amount of money to ask for from, DOCCP. That being said, I just want to be prepared of, if it doesn't come through, we need to take a hard look at this.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we have budgeted for the whole system, it's on the budget. It's about, I think, $10,000, $11,000 subscription for a year, so that would be so instead of.
Well, the annual operating would be 21, so you would still have the help of about 10.
Now, Chief, you talked about the 60 days or 90 days doing this assessment of the department. Where are you with that? And is there, this might not be a fair question.
You're fine. Go ahead.
And is there any other projected needs that you would be coming with
Yes.
of this nature?
Yes, there is. Not to this level. And I don't want to go too far deeper into the other because there's also an alternative on one of those. I recently submitted a 65-day report to the town administrator, mayor, HR, and Mr. Gaskell was promised to come by tomorrow to pick up his.
And it is on the top of my pile for tomorrow.
It's not a problem. There are two things in there that we need to take a hard look at. I don't know that they're all going to be super expensive. I don't know that they all need to be taken care of this year. One is our property. We had an outside organization come in and take a very brief overlook at our property room. There's a lot of things that need to be adjusted and fixed in there. That being said, we already have started taking movement on the property room. We have people that are assigned that are going to be going in there and doing 100% inventory on everything that we had to put in place. My larger concern, and this is something that we can put off till next year, but we're heading for Jeff, is we do need to do an audit and inventory by a third party. And what an audit will do is sit back and not look at just what we have, but also everything that we have that has come in and gone out of the property. I will tell you again, having seen organizations that have had problems to property rooms, I have seen police officers indicted, I have seen civilian people indicted, I have seen entire leaderships dismantled because they take their property room very serious. Don't believe we're there. I really don't. I think the integrity of our property room is on point, but there's things that we can do better, but we need to at least go back and look into this. That will prevent a liability issue moving forward. We have not had an audit on the property rooms at least 15, 20 years, 30 years. So well overdue. The good thing is once that is done, there are other things that we do maintain that. And one of the things Cat Fisher will be doing is spot inventories and scheduled inventory from the custodians to make sure that, everything is in line. The other thing is a personal thing that I'm going to move forward with, but I've discussed with each one of you. I would like to see the Berlin Police Department become accredited. CALETA is the agency that supports accreditation. You're talking about the gold standard, not just the policies, but ensuring that policies are actually being practiced in place. I've already started going through a lot of the policies, more important. They're not bad. They're just a lot of liability exposures, and we're fixing what we can. The reason why I didn't want to go into too much on the accreditation right now, but other than moving forward, is it costs about the same amount of money that we're paying into life support currently. And there is a white paper that I have submitted to the mayor and to Mary that they will help out with our startup fees for the accreditation process. That's a 3-year process that is going to take us, and that's not a heavy lift like this. I want to say, all in all, I think that was about $15,000 that we're looking at for that. But what you're getting from being an accredited agency, I know it scares a lot of people in Worcester County, but for me, I love it. I have access to what's called the PAC. That's anybody in the region, not the state, the region. I can reach out to and say, hey, we have a policy or we need help with a policy, and we all can get feedback almost immediately. The second thing is Lexipol gives us policy, and they will give us updated policy. Okay, Lexipol does not challenge our policies to make sure that they're being practiced. That's up to us. Accreditation through CALEA, they come in annually with an assessor who will look at what our policies are and the proofs. The proofs should be anything to prove that we are actually doing the policies correct. But what they will also do is they will do ride-alongs with our officers, ask a lot of questions. They do a forum to the public, asking the public to feedback as to what they see with law enforcement. And they also do a deep dive as to how we are impacted by a lot of other agencies in the area. So kind of getting best practices for the area, for the Maryland law. To me, this is one of my legacy things that I want to bring to Berlin. And like I said, this is a gold standard. This is not just, hey, we've got policy on that. We've got a policy, it's proven it works, and we know that we practice it.
Very well said.
So those are the two big things.
Oh, now you're going to move it along. Come on now. We're getting to the substance. All right, Chief, thank you. We do want approval for motion 2026-43 to move forward with the grant submission. With that being said, the understanding that if we are not successful, we are going to bring a funding pathway before the council to be able to move that along.
I'm sorry, I want to clarify something on this motion. If that is the case, that this approval is contingent on grant funds, I'm going to add that contingent on.
But we don't want to miss out on the quote either. So
No, right.
With the findings, we're putting our best foot forward with the grant. But then if we're not successful, we're bringing it for action for the body.
Okay, so how would you like this worded?
It can just say for the grant, for the, what's the acronym? BJAC grant. And then, but knowing that for this body and the public, that if we're not successful, we're going to see this again. Very cool.
We're going to still talk to how we're.
Okay. Got a motion by Vice President Burrell.
Can I say?
Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry, real quick. Just a thought. To go back to the furniture. We'd originally put 303 in. Worst case scenario, we land up spending the 253. Can we give him the rest of that to go ahead?
We'll determine that. We've got a plan. We'll get all that done.
Even if he goes for the grant, just go ahead so that's.
So we'll take care of it. We've got that portion. But thank you. We appreciate it. So I got a motion by Vice President Burrell. I need a second. Second. Got a second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Let the record reflect the motion 2026-43, approving the chief to move forward with the grant funding request for CAD RMS MCT system as presented, passed unanimously with Councilmember Nichols absent. Up next is agenda item 5, and that's the town administrator's report and departmental.
I am going to turn it over to Natalie to discuss credit card fees.
Go ahead, Natalie.
As we discussed through the budget, and we have not funded the credit card processing fees to 27. So simply what it means, every single credit card that we accept for payments charges fees, various fees. Visa does their own fees, Discover, American Express, with pretty much all similar to the process, what it is. The credit card processing company or merchant place that processing our cards basically collect that the town was paying that full amount, no matter whether a customer pays with the debit, credit, or etc. So the decision was to pass the fee to a customer. Town will not receive that amount at all. So we will not be collecting those amounts, holding on to them. Those fees will be assessed on the amount that paid with the cards online or at the counter, and will be directly going to the processor. of the merchant, the credit card processing. So that's more of a announcement. We'll have that posted on the website, on the payment app. We're also going to have a sign at the customer service counters, but any electronic payments will carry a fee. I don't have a start date. We're working for the activation. The card will carry the 3%, and we will probably have an option to pay with the e-check, which the customer will have to put information, and that's going to be a fixed amount. Obviously, if you mail in a check or bring your paper check or cash.
Thank you. Any questions for Natalie regarding that change? Yes.
I pay by draft. Is that e-check or ACH that I pay by, or just my own bill pay? I'm
Processing it through your bank.
I don't know. I've got paid by draft. I think I signed up for e-billing.
E-billing, you would have to select the payment. So you can select your e-billing going through your card.
No, not a card. I mean, it's
If
e-billing.
it goes through your bank, we don't have that option. So I'm pretty sure it's going either through your credit card or debit. We do not tie bank accounts.
So the way to pay without a fee is mailing a check, dropping a check off, or dropping off any other form.
Your typewriter here.
Yep. So any other way of regular
I'll
payment.
just have my bank. I'll just set up a draft for my bank. My bank's
Bill pay function.
But I haven't been because so many companies and organizations now do ACH transactions.
The problem is that they're.
I just wanted to clarify for myself what payment method I'm actually using. Because it says paid by draft, I signed up for e-billing, and you're telling me that I must have put in my debit card at one point.
Probably your debit credit card. We don't draw your.
I just wanted to clarify what payment method I'm using by that.
And the reason for this is that the fees were
Oh, I
being,
know.
but just for the public.
Yeah.
But the reason was that fees were being passed on to the town, and the town was eating the cost of the fee. They were encroaching on close to $100,000 a year, correct? Close.
A little bit less.
Everyone's
But they were
People are collecting.
So,
But meanwhile, so I'm forcing the town to pick up the 3% by doing it that way.
No, I don't think so. I think in your case, there is not an additional.
I think there may be a cost associated with debit card transactions.
There is.
Oh.
There will be. It'll be a less of a fee.
I have
Maybe.
to clarify the debit, still working with the merchant.
Are you saying there isn't a fee for debit now, but there will be?
Currently, there's no fee. Hold on. Currently, there's no fee for credit card, and there's no fee for debit
No,
card.
I mean, but there's a fee to the town, not to me.
Correct.
But I'm saying, is there a fee to the town for debit cards
Yes.
already?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. A lot of people are doing it.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is shift that so that we're not eating that cost. All right. The next on the departmentals. Yes, Ms. Marie.
Are you talking about if I have a bill pay thing to the bank that sends the check? Is that something?
No, the check, you can mail a check, or you bank to mail a check. A paper check, you're not having.
They're issuing the check.
All right. Next up on departmentals, the one thing I wanted to say, and I didn't see Ivy over there for a second, and then I did see her over there, so I'm relieved.
Back in the box.
The town is working to try and get the submissions for Hallmark. To the reference is always there about town being like a Hallmark movie and things of that nature. There is a competitive process nationally to be able to apply for being the setting of a Hallmark movie. Economic Development has worked on that. Mayor's office is working on that. Just anybody from the public, if you would like to submit, it would help our case to be able to do so. Miss Marie, I know you're going to be a champ for that, so I really appreciate that in advance.
How do we do that? Is there a link?
Yes, on Facebook there is a direct link to the application.
So the mayor's office put out a video reel and with a description that has the link to apply for it, and we shared it up on our
Right.
How long was that?
I think the application August. So we were actually contacted by someone from the Hallmark Channel, contacted us and asked us to apply, which I think they got an email, I got the email, so I took the lead on that. Wrote up our application.
I don't know, maybe somewhere.
Oh, this ain't me. This ain't me, buddy. All right. Any other departmental reports that are, or anything you want to accent that are in the mayor and council pack? Okay. Let's move on to comments from the public. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council regarding any item may do so at this time. Yes, ma'am. Just name.
My name is Bruce White. Sorry.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. One is about the community center. The other is about Henry Park.
Okay. We'll try our best.
Yes. Now, what is, I know you are building, so will the community be able to have weddings, family gatherings there? And I just gotta ask this, a rec,
So the,
what is it consistent of?
so we can share that with you. If you can give me your email, we'll make sure you get a copy of the feasibility study as well. And it'll cover a lot of those things, but it's in like a brainstorming model. So it's like boxes, right? So it's got a box that says this is where Head Start would likely be. This would be like aquatics. This would be recreational activities. This would be like community gathering rooms or meeting rooms. And then the goal would be that the rec space would have some adaptability so that if you wanted to host like a dance or something there, a birthday party, those types of things could be accommodated as well.
The other, Henry Park,
Yes.
is it smoke-free zone?
All of our parks are smoke free. So if you see somebody that's smoking there, you can call the police department, 410-641-1333. And they would be able to send somebody over there to have a conversation. But yes, our parks are, all of our parks are smoke
And
free.
they do have signs up?
I don't know about
I
that.
don't-
It's in the park rules, but I don't think park rules have been updated on the signage, but it should be smoke free. Some of it's just, like, it doesn't mean that our police department's gonna go there and lock somebody up. They would probably just lead with a conversation saying, hey, did you know that our parks are smoke free? Can you please abide by that rule?
Yeah, I don't want anybody like that. I'm more concerned about the youth, the kids.
Yep.
Because
Kids
I
should
go
not
there,
be
I
the issue.
can't breathe.
Yep.
Salisbury
And-
City Park uses a lot of signs that say young lungs at play. Those are good.
Maybe we can try to increase some signage. Are you noticing somewhat of a challenge with that?
It's been like that for years.
Okay.
Ever since they built the pavilion, it's been like that. Even till now, this 2026. And nothing really been done.
It's probably people just aren't aware, but we'll try to invest in some signage to maybe make it so people can be a little bit more aware.
That's what I need.
Okay. And can you make sure that Laura, right behind, can you raise your hand? Perfect. So thank you. We'll make sure that we follow up with the feasibility study as well.
Okay, thanks.
Two more brief things,
Thank you.
but I'll let you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? I think I saw another hand. So ladies first, go ahead. Mary.
Real quick, I was gonna bring up something else, I'll do it next time. Just thank you for letting me talk about stormwater. It's very frustrating, and I didn't mean to take anybody's head off or whatever, but, just thank you.
Thank you.
Just to follow up, we did not have to let you talk about stormwater. If that was your issue and you brought it here, you have the absolute right to do that. So thank you for being so candid.
Fitzgerald, just name and entity that you represent.
Dave Fitzgerald, I'm here tonight to represent the Maryland State Fire Association Executive Committee. I've been appointed to represent Wycomico, Worcester, Somerset County. Probably be a 3-year term of that.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Good Lord.
The leadership came down tonight and presented something to the fire company in this county. Now it's my job to go to the 3 counties. So I'm here to present you with a resolution from past President Simpson thanking you for allowing the parade to be in Berlin. And then I've got a challenge going. Other council fingers. Yeah, I'm not gonna read all the hows, with twos and all that. Thank you. What we'll do, we'll just figure out to get done, let the public know.
Laura? It helps out with big person like that.
Thank you very much.
And they told me to
Dave,
give.
you could slip one in here for Shane.
Oh, yeah, Ms. Nichols, they gave me that. Yes. And then they told me to give, 3 to the police department. Public Works.
That's all right.
I'll see that in March.
I know what they told me to do.
I have a burning desire to go home. Come on,
I've got people on both ends.
come on.
Come on, I want you to do this picture.
Yeah, come on in. That's the end.
Oh, you got it.
Yep, got it right here.
And I think you need your public.
No, I really appreciate it. Did the most important thing, did they approve wanting to come back?
So, our conference call was unanimous. I go to the meeting tonight, and then, Tuesday night, and then after that, it should be all just one night executive committee. All right. Just want to wait for this side of it. Let's do state for
Thank you. Coach Abel, you good?
Yep, oh, got
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you all. All right. Let's move on. Any other comments from the public? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to Mary. Do you want to add whatever
I
you were
do.
going to put?
I'm very sad to announce this is Laura's last meeting. Sad.
Well, thank you for everything you've done for us. We really appreciate it. And we also,
To announce that
okay, good. That's where I was going.
his position, title is now Associate Town Administrator.
Well, hold on. We were going to throw some more accolades her way too. So let's not stop on the Kate train.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, Kate graduates this Friday from the Certified Public Manager Program. This is our third employee who has gone through this program through the University of Maryland, University of Baltimore, grants to the town. It costs the town nothing but a little bit of her travel time.
Schaefer School of Public Policy. So Natalie, Kelsey, and now Kate. Congratulations. And we have, I'm not going to throw it out yet, but we have more good news in the next council meeting. What? For staff. We talked about it earlier today, but
Oh my gosh. Are you
sorry.
asking me to remember?
We're good. We're good. So, but we're not going to do it right now. So it's the suspense. It's okay. It's good for y'all. A good cardiac stress test. Let's move on to comments from the council. Vice President Burrell.
I don't have a thing.
Thank you.
Nobody else.
Jay.
Nothing tonight.
Thanks, Jack.
Real quick, I just have 2 things. First, I want to thank Chief for allowing me to do a ride along this past weekend. Again, it was my second one in my 2 terms here, so that was pretty awesome. And then everything else I'll wait, but I do have one question. Can we still please, Mayor, get a copy of Emily's EKM laws executed FY27 contract?
Yes, and you asked for that. Then I missed it.
We have to.
I did.
We have a review.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
The whole.
Well, you got
Brown.
Sure.
Okay. We'll follow up on that. Emily's contract.
Yeah.
Apparently, I let them know that I was going to do that.
I've not been trying.
That's why.
Okay, move right
Well, a
along.
reminder, I'm done. Thank you. I'm good.
Thank you. Councilmember Green.
Yep, really quick. 818 and North Main Street and Route 50. Officially, where does anybody know where that stands as far as light?
Yes.
We had accident last night.
Yes.
And does the Wawa have to come first before the light? Go ahead.
I don't think that's factual.
That's
What's that?
I just asked.
No. I'm just saying, like, I had read that also in some of the stuff out in the public. The Wawa is not the precluder of that, to what I've been told. And the project has gone through design work with SHA and is being advocated for by our district office among the basket of all the things that exist for capital projects in the state to compete for funding. So we continue to put that in our consolidated transportation plan request. Every opportunity we meet with the state, we continue to advocate for our list of projects and specifically get an update on where this project stands. So we're continuing to move that along. It is sad to know that there's a plan in place that could have potentially made things not occur, for folks to get in an accident. But then again, the thing is that every single one of the data crash points that we looked at with the state could have been solved by this solution as well. So every single fatality, every single critical accident could be solved by putting this solution in place. It's just getting the money to do so. So,
Thank you.
which one? The one that's supposed to be in North Main? Or the Microtel? I don't know. Do we have an update on Microtel? That's probably going to be better for planning.
Yeah, I don't know that there is anything.
Does anybody know when the last time is the town of Berlin did a forensic audit?
I'm sorry, say it again.
When is the last time the town of Berlin did a forensic audit?
Natalie, this question's best for you.
When's the last time that you're aware that the town of Berlin did a forensic audit?
A forensic financial audit?
Yes. Financial audit?
It's not typically done, I believe.
I mean, I know we do our annual audit, but I was just wondering if that had ever been done. That you're all aware
In
of.
my presence with the town, 16 years, we have not performed a forensic financial audit.
Okay.
A forensic financial audit would be prompted or required by a outside agency in a certain circumstance.
Someone asked.
And they typically have a narrow focus. Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't typically perform a forensic audit without a clear
Purpose in the
purpose.
picture
Yep.
and a ground for an audit, such audit.
Yeah, generally speaking, you don't just perform
An allegation of fraud.
Correct. Yep. So
I have not.
that is, I don't know your name.
Beverly.
So Beverly made a good point. Like if there was an allegation of fraud or if there was something like that, that's where you would needle in those types of things.
I was
Missing money.
Yep. There you go.
Thank you.
All right. So I packed up my agenda. Comments from the mayor's office. I really don't have any this evening. Congratulations again, Kate. Laura, I'm really sorry to see you go.
Yes.
We're going to miss you.
Congratulations, Katie.
Yep. Comments from the press. Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, wait a second.